We're about to see Michigan and Northwestern in the Big Ten. What do you see tonight?
Brett Bazinet having another great day. 12 touchdowns, 1 interception on the season. Are you kidding me? He's going to score 40 on Michigan defense.
I thought it'd be a defensive struggle, Ohio State, Minnesota. This may end up being a defensive struggle. You never know.
Plenty of scoring. We're down to 5 unbeaten
Ohio
in the
State,
country, and a
Minnesota.
Big Ten battle coming your way right now.
Thanks to the White Sox, Chicago is the second city no more. Yesterday, the Windy City celebrated their Southside team's World Series victory. And tonight, Northwestern, the school to the north, looks to continue its unlikely march toward a Big Ten championship. But the next step for the Wildcats comes against Michigan. And the Wolverines know something about conference championships, having won more than any other Big Ten school. A new angle on an ancient tale. Michigan, normally in the role of the mighty giant, now in a must-win situation just to stay in the Big Ten title race. Northwestern, more familiar with the part of David, is standing tall, shoulder to shoulder with the conference elite. The Wolverines' goal, get back to being Goliath. A Wildcat win keeps their dream season alive. Tonight, the old story retold with a twist. Welcome to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Polaroid. Tonight, it's a Big Ten matchup as the 21st-ranked Wildcats of Northwestern take on the 25th-ranked Michigan Wolverines. ESPN Saturday Night College Football is broadcast in high definition, presented by Phillips. And for the Wildcats, only one loss in conference play. Randy Walker and his crew know full well if they take care of business, they could have a Big Ten title in 05. Crowd is up, and here come the Wildcats. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin, along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe, and we'll be visiting with Holly in just a short time. There's a lot of purple in this stadium tonight, and they are extremely excited. But here's the role reversal. Normally, it would be the Wolverines who come in here with a big target on their chest. Not so. This time around, it's Northwestern who has the bullseye on them, and the Wolverines are the ones who are out to get some revenge. Are they for real, Bob?
Ron, I promise you, on offense, Northwestern is for real. They are tough to defend. The reason, Brett Bazinet is the perfect quarterback for the spread offense. He can run, he can throw. Most important, he is tough. He started for 4 years, and he knows this offense better than the coaches. Northwestern also has a weapon in true freshman running back Tyrell Sutton. He is averaging 138 yards a game, and because of him, Northwestern, Ron, has a balanced offense.
Bob, you know, if I'm a guy sitting out there at home tonight preparing to watch this football game, I think a question that would be right in the front of my mind is, does Michigan have enough offense? Can they score enough points to keep up with Northwestern with their scoring machine?
Ron, Michigan will move the football. Everyone does against Northwestern, but they must get touchdowns. They cannot settle for field goals. Key players, Michael Hart, the tailback. Michigan has a lot of weapons, but everyone knows they are a different team when Mike Hart is healthy and on the field. He may not be 100% tonight. He has a slight ankle injury, but he brings energy and confidence to this Wolverine football team.
Folks, we are looking for a shootout here on the banks of Lake Michigan as the fellas from Northwestern play host to the Wolverines of Michigan. Kickoff is coming up next.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Allstate, a proud sponsor of the Bowl Championship Series, and AOL. Want a better internet? You belong at AOL.
So welcome back to Evanston. You talk about excitement in a community. Everywhere you went, somebody had on purple. This is what has happened today. Penn State has won, Wisconsin has won, and Ohio State has won. And what Northwestern is trying to do, get a victory here tonight against the Wolverines so they can maintain pace and try to go 4-1 in the conference, 6-2 overall. Holly Rowe, let's check with you down on the sideline. What do you have for us?
Well, Ron, this is the first time that Northwestern comes into this game as the higher-ranked team since 1959. Now, that's got Coach Randy Walker very nervous. This week, the success has brought a lot of extra media attention. He says, I know how this team handles being bad after they rebounded from a 31-point loss at Arizona State. What he doesn't know, how they'll handle being good. He says he hopes his team still plays like underdogs and gets rid of all that media attention and focuses on some football against Michigan tonight.
Okay, Holly, thanks. He readily admits he is a born pessimist at times, and he gets a little paranoid over situations. But as you said, he is a bit concerned with all the pub that they've been getting this week, and we'll see how they handle it. They prepare to kick off as Northwestern won the toss, and they have deferred. And Northwestern has worked all year on pooch kicks so that they don't give up big returns, Bob.
I don't think number 15, Steve Preston, will touch this football, Ron.
There it is, pooch kick. And going to be taken by one of the blocking backs. It's Brian Thompson, a fullback, and he will get back to the 26-yard line, and that is it. So let's talk about Chad Henne, the sophomore out of the state of Pennsylvania. Great year last year. Bob, this year it's been highs and lows.
Well, one thing, no number 1, Braylon Edwards out there at wide receiver, the first-round draft choice of the Cleveland Browns. But I'm a big Chad Henne fan. He is tough in his 21st start and only a sophomore, Ron.
Well, we just have had a question answered. Kevin Grady is starting and not number 20, Mike Hart. And nothing against these other running backs for Michigan, but Hart, when he is there, seems to give them even more special inspiration. Pressure, going to be sacked, knocked down, actually 1 yard short of the line of scrimmage, and that is Mark Kane, who is there to make the tackle. Here are the starters for the Michigan Wolverines tonight as we look at the specialist. Paul, Breston, Evant, and Massaquoi, the tight end. Up front with the offensive line, the best news for the Michigan Wolverines right down there at the bottom of the page. Number 77, Jake Long. What a good one. He has been battling an injured ankle. Going to start in this game, and the coaches think he'll be able to go the distance. Second down, 11 Michigan. Short drop, quick look in right over the middle, complete at the 33-yard line, and that's Evant on the receiving end. And let's take a look at the starters on defense for the Wildcats of Northwestern. Up front, Mims, Cofield, Schutz, and Kane, who had the sack just a moment ago. The linebackers, it all starts with that fellow right there in the middle, Tim McGarrigle. Boy, he's a throwback. It's the only way to put it. And in the secondary, it'll be Battle and Cole at the corners, Henderson and Tarver at the safeties. Third down, Michigan. And to move the sticks, they've got to go to the 36-yard line. Evant in motion. They go straight ahead with the running play. Grady, big opening. 40, 45. Drags a man with him. 1st and 10 as he takes it across midfield. And that is going to be a gain of 19 yards on the third down run. Reggie McPherson finally brought him to the turf.
Ron, in the open, we talked about the significance of Mike Hart to this lineup because he brings a spirit and a confidence. But make no mistake, Kevin Grady is a powerful, true freshman running back at 5'8", 225. Broke all of the Michigan high school records. He's talented. What they lose in Michael Hart is confidence and chemistry with that offense not being in the game.
We're just talking about Jake Long and who did they run behind. He and Matt Lynch on that right side. First down, first time to have the ball across midfield in this early going. This is Grady, and he will take it for a gain of about 4 yards in the play. Young man that came in early. In fact, he got to go through the Rose Bowl workouts because of his enrolling in school when he did. But he also had a fumble early on in the season, and he saw the bench quickly. He found out.
Well, that's an unwritten or written Lloyd Carr rule. But you talk about him going to the Rose Bowl. We see Adam Stenovich limp off the field there. Michigan, a team with so many injuries this year. But Kevin Grady, the first player run in Michigan history to enroll early and have that opportunity, which you see that all over the country now, but that's a first for Michigan. Mike
Kaloje comes in, a senior out of Joliet, Illinois. number 76, and he will replace Stenovich at that left tackle position. As you look at Coach Carr, 11th season at Michigan, 100 wins there, won 5 of the last 8 Big Ten titles. Saw him drinking coffee early this morning. He was trying to figure out what he was going to do with his day without a 1 o'clock kickoff. On second down, Henny. Ball is tipped. Woo, that's dangerous. Off the hands of Grady, but if that corner had been about 2 steps closer, we would have had a pick 6. Holly Rowe, let's check back with you.
Guys, an update on Mike Hart tonight. He did come out and warm up with the team, but it was clear throughout the warm-ups that he was greatly favoring that right ankle. Now, after the warm-up period, he went back in the locker room. When he came out, his ankle was retaped. He's on the sideline. He's got his helmet on. It looks like he can play, but whether or not they'll deem it necessary to bring him into this game with that ankle not 100%, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, Holly, thanks. That's video that our guys were shooting when Michigan first took the field about an hour and 15 minutes ago, and you could tell that he was walking gingerly on that thing. Back to throw on third down. Henny steps up, zings it. He's got it complete. They got it right over the middle, inside the 25 and down to the 22, and that's what you were talking about, arm strength on him, Bob.
Chad Henne can sling the football. Doesn't have a particularly high release. You'll watch right here. He releases that ball fairly low, but I'll tell you what, he can step up and let it rip. And Jason Avant, by far, Ron, Michigan's leading wide receiver now with 61 catches. The next closest receiver, Mario Manningham, with 17. So number 8. If you're going to beat Michigan, you better put a DB on him all night long. 23 yards on that play. Grady straight ahead. He's going to be knocked down after a gain of 1 short yard. Cadella, one of the linebackers for the Wildcats, is there to make the stop. And Ron, you have to wonder if there's any credibility to that thing called the sophomore jinx. You look at Chad Henne. You know what? I look at Michael Hart. Last year, the coaches raved about his durability. 282 carries as a freshman. Never skipped a beat, never got hurt, never missed a practice. Comes out his sophomore year and has a hamstring and an ankle, which has plagued him all season.
Bunch set to the right, and they throw back the screen. Complete, 20, 25. Inside the 10 and inside the 5-yard line. It will be a first and goal for the Michigan Wolverines as Mario Manningham, the freshman out of Warren, Ohio, step back on that bunch set back toward the boundary, the short side of the field, and almost scored.
And this guy is a true freshman from Ohio. Excellent block out there on the perimeter by Jason Avant. And right here, Ron, is where Michigan has to score touchdowns. Field goals aren't good enough against this Wildcat offense.
Not a completed pass because it was behind the line of scrimmage, so it's a rush of 20 yards. Grady straight up the middle. Touchdown, Michigan.
Northwestern 117 out of 117 schools run in the NCAA in total defense. Their bend but don't break philosophy. That time they broke a little too quick as Michigan just a great drive.
They didn't leave many questions on anybody's mind as far as what they're set to do tonight. Rivas with the extra point attempt. Kick is up and he's got it. So 10 minutes, 46 seconds left in his opening quarter. And it's the Wolverines who score first. 7-0. And it is Northwestern coming to bat. So the Michigan Wolverines took the opening kickoff after Northwestern had won the toss and deferred to the second half. And I mean, they showed that they mean business in this football game here tonight. They're up 7-0 and did not even use 5 minutes off the clock to do it. Ryan prepares to kick it off. Roberson and Hamlet, the 2 deep men. And this one is going to be taken. Not going to be taken. It's going to be out of bounds, and they will scrimmage from the 35-yard line. And it gives us an opportunity to talk about Brett Bazinet, the senior out of Arlington Heights, Illinois, not too far from this campus.
And Ron, a 4-year starter. Northwestern really only one of a few schools that truly run the spread offense. That means with the whole package of quarterback runs, the option, also the ability to drop back pass. And the amazing thing about this guy, one interception in his last 265 passes, and that was a desperation pass against Penn State.
Bunch set to the right, and a quick screen thrown for the Wildcats. And Fillmore is going to go for 11 yards and a first down on the first play from scrimmage. Now let's take a look at the specialist for Northwestern, Tyrell Sutton, and he has been such a difference maker, as Bob talked about off the top of the telecast. Only a freshman, and he seems to be the only one that's not surprised that he has had great success. And up front with the offensive line, Theory, Tripodi, Belding, only a redshirt freshman there in the middle. Keep an eye on him. Keenan and Street on the right side, a guard and tackle. Bazinet to throw. Sets, got a man, got it complete. Just inside the 35-yard line. Sean Herbert on the receiving end of that one. And this is what we were talking about. They will light you up quickly.
And Sean Herbert has become the leading receiver. You're going to watch him go right down the seam. Play action is a big part of this package. And Ron, you cannot throw it any better than that.
23 yards in the pass play. So it's first down Wildcats, and they stay on the ground. Sutton bounces it outside, still driving inside the 25, and he's down to the 20, and that is a gain of very close to 10 yards in the play as Harrison is there to make the stop. The starters for Michigan, Woodley, Watson, Massey, and Branch. Gabe Watson, huge, but the guy who is huge as far as heart and head is that gentleman, Pat Massey. He's a captain. They'll play a 4-2-5. Burgess and Harris are the two linebackers, and in the secondary, Morgan Trent is the nickelback. He's the extra fella back there, along with Hall, Harrison, Jamar Adams, and Grant Mason.
And another thing I love about Brett Bazinet, he does a great job catching these shotgun snaps. You've noticed the first 3 snaps have been kind of erratic in this football game.
Complete. The officials say yes, he did not trap it, he caught it. And they're going to say he is down at the 13-yard line, Ken Thompson. So the Wildcats just continue to show a variety and are moving the football steadily.
And the keys for Northwestern offense, stay hot. Ron, the last 3 weeks, this is the hottest offense in the country. Second thing, attack the perimeter. Stay away from big Gabe Watson in there. And at some point, Michigan is going to line up and play man-to-man coverage, and you have to beat man-to-man.
Here's Sutton, breaks one tackle, cuts it back inside, fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by Michigan. Leon Hall, and he's going to take it the distance. 20, 10, 5, touchdown, 83 yards.
A freshman running back is still a freshman running back. Right here, Tyrell Sutton. The ball just pops out. It looked like number 29. Obviously, Leon Hall picks the football up and returns it for a touchdown.
Leon Hall made the hit, but I'm not so sure that a fellow Northwestern player didn't knock it out of his hands, Bob.
And I almost said on the replay there initially, Ron, I thought the same thing, that Leon Hall did knock that football out, but I hesitated for just a second because I wasn't sure.
So a shock and a silence here to this crowd at Northwestern. Extra point is up and good. We'll take a timeout. 9:07 left, opening quarter, and it's Michigan 14 and the Wildcats of Northwestern nothing. We'll be right back.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Polaroid and in part by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Part of the homecoming parade here at Northwestern. This was last evening. A lot of celebration going on right now. That celebration has been quieted somewhat with Michigan tagging an offensive score and then a defensive touchdown on the board, and we still have not played 6 minutes in this one. Ryan prepares to kick it off for Michigan. Hamlet, Roberson, the two deep men for Northwestern. And this one is not going to be returnable.
Ron, even though Northwestern turned that football over, you saw their explosiveness on that first drive. We're going to get a chance to look at this again. They're going to give those helmet stickers out Monday at Michigan. Leon Hall will, first of all, right here, Ron, get a forced fumble. Right there, the helmet hits the football. He'll also get a recovered fumble sticker, and he'll get a touchdown sticker. So maybe Reese and Mark May tonight, they can do some little helmet sticker deal on the rap show for him.
Also, Pat Massey, give him credit. He was juggling the ball with Sutton, and the man who crashed into him after it had been knocked loose by Leon Hall was Massey. From the shotgun, little play action. Bazinet got a man, throws it complete at the 32 to Herbert, and Herbert's going to be tackled for a first down just around the 38. Reese Davis, let's check in with you.
All right, Ron, this Taco Bell studio update. We've already had one unbeaten go down today in Georgia. UCLA on the farm to take on Stanford, and Trent Edwards to J.R. Lemon. And how about Walt Harris's improving team? They're up on UCLA 7-0. SC rolled over Wazoo, rolling double nickels.
Wow. Boy, they dial it up, and it just seems to happen. Our situation, 14-0, Michigan. Second possession of the night by Northwestern. Bazinet got a man wide open. 40, 35, and that is Fillmore down the sideline, and he will score 62 yards. So just like that, from 14-0, an opportunity to cut it in half.
That's explosive, isn't it?
I'm telling you, they, with the exception, obviously, of the fumble, they haven't been slowed down yet. Howells to attempt the extra point. He's got it. We got a 14-7 ball game, and still got 8:30 left in the first.
And take a look at this. Mark Fillmore is going to run straight down the football. He's the wide receiver right here. He's going to run down the field. But I want you to keep an eye also on the safety as Michigan tries to disguise the coverage. You're going to see the safety drop down late. Fillmore runs right by him. Ron, they ended up playing a 3-deep zone, and he ran right by the safety that was supposed to jam him. And wow, that did not take long for Northwestern to rebound after that fumble by Tyrell Sutton.
So if you went into the kitchen for a sandwich or an adult beverage or something like that, we've already had 21 points scored, and we have not played half of the opening quarter.
And we take a look at Willis Behringer. Willis Behringer has not played since early in the season with a leg injury. And that time, Ron, when you disguise coverages, sometimes there's a lot of degree for breaks in coverage. That time, Michigan got caught with the safety dropping down, and Fillmore ran right by him for the touchdown.
Holly Roll, let's check with you down on the sideline.
Well, guys, before they took the field for that last series, Brett Bazinet was over here on the sideline sitting on the bench, and he was smiling and laughing. They were down 14-0, and there was absolutely no panic. He got up, told his guys, let's go do this, and by gosh, they did.
Well, they, you know, we visited with him and a number of Northwestern players yesterday. They're not cocky. They're just really confident in this offense that they run. Let's see if we don't get another pooch kick right here. Yep, there it'll go. It'll be taken at the 18-yard line by Mason, and Mason is going to be denied the 26-yard line.
And Ron, just to set the stage, I know Northwestern's on defense right now, but this Northwestern offense, the last 3 weeks, 603 yards against Purdue, 674 against Wisconsin, 533 against Michigan State. This is the hottest offense in the country, and I'll include USC or anybody in that mix. This team in purple is on fire offensively.
You know, Penn State, their only loss in the conference, had to come from behind very late in the ballgame to do it. And Penn State may have the best defense in the Big Ten Conference. Certainly them along with Ohio State.
And Joe Paterno will tell you they were lucky to get out of Evanston with that win.
2 tight ends set this time for the Wolverines. Avant was the man in motion, dumps it off to the tight end, though. Massaquoi will make the catch, and he'll take it up to the 33-yard line.
Catch made by Tim Massaquoi.
Herschel Henderson, a senior out of Clear Lake High School in Houston, Texas, there to make the stop.
And Tim Massaquoi, the tight end, finally healthy. Broke his wrist early in the season. Actually played some games really with one hand. Finally has that cast off. That's a talented guy who was a wide receiver in high school.
Good look at Chad Henne. Only a sophomore. There you go, right up the middle. Grady, big opening. You can see him holding on for dear life. That was Herschel Henderson. Herschel, by the way, 2 tackles in a row for him. He had 2 interceptions in last week's ball game. Time now for SportsCenter, 30 at 30.
All right, Ron, on Sunday Night Football tomorrow night, Teddy Bruschi will be back in the lineup just months after suffering a stroke. He will play for the Patriots against the Bills on ESPN. And former Patriots offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss, now head coach at Notre Dame, is going to remain that for a while. He's got a new contract, 10-year deal that'll keep him at ND through 2015. SportsCenter after the game, ESPN News constantly.
Thanks, Reese. Play action. Jackson to the ball game. They faked it to him, but they throw the pass complete to Preston, and he will be stopped around the first down marker, up and around, let's see, they're going to say the 49-yard line. So far in this ball game, as we look at keys, neither team has been able to stop the other at all.
Well, and we thought it would be that way, and that's that first key right there. Red zone touchdowns, not field goals, no turnovers. Northwestern will bend. They won't blitz. They'll make you execute. You can't turn it over. And if you get ahead, stay aggressive, because no points is enough points to outscore this Northwestern offense.
Brady again as he cracks his way at right guard. That'll be enough for the first down. Beg your pardon, Jerome Jackson, number 24 in the lineup. And with that play right there, this is what we have, guys. And we have 7:03 left to play in the opening quarter. Northwestern already has 128 yards and Michigan 101. You think the stats guys may get a little riding cramp tonight? The Big E's exercising that arm over here. Jackson stays in the ball game at tailback. Northwestern creeping up with the safeties. They haven't blitzed in 2 ball games, though, and they're going to go on top here. Got good coverage, and it is intercepted by Cole. Marquise Cole comes up with the interception, and if you're Michigan, you look at it this way. Probably about as good as a long punt.
Well, Marquise Cole, he's about 5'9", but they say he runs 4.25, and he is locked on Steve Preston right here. Excellent play by Marquise Cole to reach out and play that football in the air. Great coverage, great play by a secondary that's been under siege this year for Northwestern.
One of the things, as you look at the numbers on Marquise, Northwestern has come up with a high number of turnovers in recent games, and they've, the return for a touchdown last week in that ball game against Michigan State. They've had some devastatingly good ones.
Ron, that's why my second key for the Michigan offense was no turnovers, because it is a bend but don't break defense. They make you execute, and they did the same thing against Michigan State last week.
So we're going to go to break as they attend to Adam Krause, the starting center for the Michigan Wolverines. We'll be right back with more from Evanston after we pause. Evanston, Illinois. We got 6.5 minutes left in this opening quarter. 14-7, Michigan on top. Northwestern has just intercepted, and Brett Bazinet has just gone over the 10,000-yard mark, the 40th player in NCAA history with 10,000 or better in total yards. Roberson checks into the ball game at tailback. Play action. Bazinet to throw from his own end zone. Now going to run. Got a man open. Got complete at the 25-yard line to Kim Thompson, and he takes it all the way out to the 30. And boy, give Thompson an added star. That's 27 yards, but he had to go very, very high.
And maybe the best thing Brett Bazinet does, of all the things he does well, keep plays alive with his legs. He is a great scrambling quarterback that looks to throw instead of run, and he threw that football up there. Excellent catch, as you mentioned, by Kim Thompson, but impossible to hold your coverage that long.
Bazinet, Bob, is 6 of 6, 149 yards and a touchdown. They go on the ground. This time it's Brandon Roberson, a sophomore out of Pearland, Texas, who is in at tailback. Alan Branch is there to make the tackle on him.
And it really does take a unique quarterback to run this option, because you haven't seen the quarterback runs yet. The option, this guy is really a drop back passer, was coming out of high school, but he's tough enough and he has enough want to run the options and make this spread offense go. I have a tremendous amount of respect for this quarterback, Brett Bazinet.
Roberson remains in the game at tailback. Rolls it to the left. Got a man there. Intercepted. Receiver didn't turn around, and it's Brandon Harrison. Brandon Harrison. Ball is loose, and Northwestern has gotten the ball back, I believe, at the 17-yard line. Like Ross Lane came down with it. Now the officials discuss
the ruling on the field after the interception. There was a fumble and recovered by Northwestern. First down. First and 10.
This is reviewable, as the true freshman Brandon Harrison's going to get the interception. Obviously miscommunication right there between Herbert and Bazinet, but the true freshman Brandon Harrison, that's the second fumble tonight, Ron, by a true freshman in this game.
Well, it's a very good call, because the ball was coming loose. No question about that. He was close, yeah, but close doesn't count in this situation.
And here comes the review.
The previous play is being reviewed.
Excellent job by Brandon Roberson right here. Strips that ball. That ball is out.
The one we had from the lower level truly shows that.
And the football is recovered by
right
Ross
here.
Lane. Right here?
Yeah, that one there. See, it's out.
Football's out.
Yep, the knee is not down yet. And it's Lane who got down on it to make the recovery.
Ron, on that interception, one of the few times you will see miscommunication between Brett Bazinet and these wide receivers of Northwestern. They have an experienced wide receiver core as well.
After review, the play stands as called. First down, Northwestern.
You know something, Bob? And these guys, it makes them extremely happy to know that right there with a bang play, as close and as quick as that was, that they had already, in fact, made the proper call.
And isn't it amazing across the country how many times these officials are correct
on a play that seems really hard to be able to pick up that quickly?
Really a pretty easy review right there, and an excellent call on the field.
So Northwestern will just have to set up claim inside their own 20-yard line. But the most important thing to them is the fact they have the football back. 4 wide receivers, 4-man rush. Bazinet going to run it. 15-20, slides down, and he does that readily. He is, you know, when he was younger, he didn't necessarily do that. He would take the punishment. But he found out, you get a lot more bruises and bumps when you're a hero.
I'll tell you who reminds me a little bit of Jim McMahon, the former quarterback of the Chicago Bears. He has kind of a personality that's out there a little bit. He was really reckless as a young guy, a lot of charisma. Just he's kind of a Jim McMahon kind of character.
Yeah, very loose. Crowd is booing. Will Johnson, 97, did come in a little bit late. Hand off in the running play, and they'll take it close to the first down, but it's not going to be enough. It'll be 3rd and about a yard. Holly Rowe, let's check with you.
Well, Bob, it's interesting you would mention Jim McMahon and that Brett Bazinet reminds you of him. Actually, Brett has a supplemental workout that he does each week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, he drives home to Arlington Heights and works out with a personal trainer. His personal trainer trained Jim McMahon when he was playing. He said he's got him doing all kinds of things with balls, agility drills, plyometrics, and he thinks it's paying off for him this year. So a little bit of that toughness coming from a Jim McMahon former trainer.
Tyrell Sutton checks back into the ballgame. Here's Bazinet. Rolls the pocket, looking, drills it, and it's incomplete, and probably did the smartest thing there. Instead of Kim Thompson, I don't believe, could have caught that ball without having an opportunity by Michigan to pick it off. So it'll be 4th down.
And another key for Northwestern, Ron, right here on special teams. Steve Breston, maybe the best punt returner in college football when he's healthy. Look for Northwestern just to flat kick this ball away from number 15.
Well, they worked on it, and I mean a long time, on Thursday afternoon. Special teams really took a lion's share of the workout, and one of the things is just what Bob's talking about, and that is to kick away from the returners for Michigan. You see this one going all the way across field, and it's going to be touched first by Northwestern. So it's dead at the 25-yard line. And a reminder, next Saturday night, ESPN has a showdown of 2 of the nation's best teams, number 6 Miami and number 3 Virginia Tech. That's where this crew will be. College football primetime presented by Polaroid on ESPN's Saturday at 7:45 Eastern. And that game is in HD as well.
You better bring your helmet next week, Ron. That will be the defensive matchup of the year in college football.
You watched, as we were talking several times this afternoon, Miami was a totally different team in the second half of that ball game against Carolina.
They're like a tidal wave. Yeah. When they start going, look out. When they gain momentum, hold on.
Grady lines up at tailback. First down at the 25. They fake it to him. Pressure coming from the defensive end. And the ball thrown too tall and almost intercepted. Wow. Going for Roach is a man who almost made the pickoff. I think it was Tyler Eckert, the tight end.
It was Tyler Eckert. Little play action. They get Chad Henne out of the pocket. Poorly thrown football right there. With Tyler Eckert run on the crossing route. Tyler Eckert actually became the go-to tight end early in the season with Tim Massaquoi out with that wrist injury.
14-7. Wolverines on top. Just over 3 minutes to play. Opening quarter in Evanston. Short drop, quick out pass in the flat, and boy, that's a nice catch and run. Evant puts a shoulder down and runs over the defender. Reese Davis, let's check back in the studio with you.
Ron, improbable as it may seem, Texas looking awful against Oklahoma State, although Vince Young right down the middle of David Thomas here, but the Longhorns got their extra point blocked and then let Okie State just walk right down the field. Julius Crossland, how about the Pokes on top, 14-6 in the first quarter?
Well, you got to remember one thing. Last year, Oklahoma State led them 35-7. And then Texas rattled off something like 48 unanswered points. I'm not suggesting they're going to do that tonight, but they have had a history of slow starts against the Cowboys. Third down, they need the 35. Pass is incomplete, not even close. Avant, the intended receiver, so it's going to be punting time now for the Wolverines.
Boy, big 3 and out for the Northwestern defense. They've not had many of those this season, but that was a big stop and get that football back for Brett Bazinet in this offense.
Ross Ryan stands back to punt. First punt of the night for the Wolverines, 1 for Northwestern. And that's Mark Fillmore, who is backbeat. Boy, he almost got that thing blocked. Fair catch is called for and is made. Now it's time for Football 101 as Bob breaks down the Wildcats offense and why it allows them to be so successful.
Ron, it takes a unique quarterback to run this, the predetermined quarterback run. They love this misdirection quarterback wrap where they pull the big offensive tackle around. Really, it's an ISO and the quarterback's the tailback. Second thing, they love the option. Again, it takes a courageous quarterback to come down the line, take it to the defensive end, and then pitch it if the defensive end takes him. And the point I make about a unique quarterback, Brett Bazinet will have a chance to play in the NFL. He was a drop-back quarterback coming out of high school. He loves to throw the football, but when it's his turn to run it, he runs it. He has a lot of courage, and he is the reason this spread offense at Northwestern goes.
So the situation still 14-7, just under 3 minutes to play first quarter. Tyrell Sutton again in the ball game at tailback. Had a fumble early, kept him out for a series when Brandon Roberson replaced him. And they'll give it to him this time. Big opening, right side. has 6 and now 7 yards. Brandon Harrison on the stop for the Wolverines.
Ron, anytime you can run the football with your quarterback or your tailback in this case, it opens up play action. And watch right here as Brett Bazinet fakes this football. You're going to see it freezes the linebacker. He steps up. He has to respect the run. And then the crossing route of the wide receiver is open behind him. So that's what makes this offense different. They're able to run the football with the quarterback and the tailback.
Here's Sutton. They run it back into the boundary. Wow, that is a really good tackle by Burgess. He did not allow him 1 more inch. So now it's going to be 3rd down, and instead of about 2.5, they're going to have about 4 for the first.
And if there's one negative to this offense, look how far Tyrell Sutton has to run east and west, Ron. This is a sideways east and west running game.
Now there you see the yellow line. It is just across the 31, and that's where Northwestern has to take it if they want to keep this drive going. Bunch set to the left, which is the open side of the field. Bazinet got a man ball, is tipped incomplete. I think that Fillmore is the man who got a hand on it, was not a defender. And Bazinet not real pleased because he had hit 6 in a row and now has hit a little bit of a dry spell here.
And this Michigan defense beaten up a little bit over the offseason about their inability to play against the spread. Last year, you remember the Ohio State game, the Texas game. Jim Herman's defense is playing better as this season progresses.
Here's Peterson's punt, and he angles it away from the deep man again. Going back, taking it at the 21 is Breston. Breston almost runs into his own man and then is going to be stopped back inside the 20. That is outstanding work by the special teams of Northwestern. 52 yards in the kick, and we're going to have to say nothing on the return. Well, just months after suffering a stroke, Teddy Bruschi makes his return to the field with the Patriots in that ball game against Buffalo. Sunday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN, and that one is in HD. Coverage begins with NFL Primetime, presented by Miller Lite at 7:30 Eastern. Michigan quickly out on the field offensively, and they scrimmage from their own 21. Try to take it right up the middle. I mean, there's nothing. That's Cofield. Barry Cofield, a senior out of Cleveland Heights, Ohio. And the coaches say, boy, when he comes with an attitude, he's tough.
He is their best defensive lineman. That time he just uses a swim move on the guard, Matt Lentz. Barry Cofield, Ron, last year played defensive end at 6'6", 310 pounds. They move him inside to tackle. That was an athletic move right there.
Adam Krause, the center, was injured. Mark Beal, 54, is in its center. Quick out pass. One tackle is missed, but they'll stop him at the 25, and it's Breston on the receiving end. Reese Davis, let's check back with you.
Ron, Vince Young threw an interception, and Oklahoma State going right back to work with Al Pena. The Longhorns average giving up 14 points per game. They gave up 21 in the first quarter to Oklahoma State. Pokes up 21-6.
Sprained right knee on Adam Krause, the center. So I would assume that Mark Beal, number 54, is the young man who will go the distance. That was a rush because the ball was thrown behind the line of scrimmage, so Breston will get credit for a 6-yard run. 3rd down. They need to take it to the 31-yard line, and they're not going to get it. Cofield there again. Kevin Grady has got to be saying, hey, can we get somebody to get a hat on this guy? End of the first quarter. So let's take a timeout. Michigan by a touchdown, 14-7. Welcome back to ESPN's College Football Primetime, presented by Polaroid. I'm Ron Franklin, along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe from Evanston, Illinois. And it's 14-7 at the end of the first 15 minutes. And Michigan to kick it away on 4th down. Ryan waits for the snap back at the 14-yard line. Lane came very close to getting a block on the last punt. Good protection this time. High driving spiral. Fair catch is called for and made at the 34 by Fillmore. Take a look at Game Track. And back in the first quarter, after they had scored an offensive touchdown, watch what happens. Sutton is hit. Leon Hall knocked the ball loose, then makes the recovery and takes it 83 yards for the touchdown. That was the difference maker. Bazinet, 6 of 9, 149 yards, a touchdown, but also an interception. Bazinet, short drop, got it complete. Fillmore right on the sideline, falls out of bounds. Grant Mason was there covering, but there was not a great deal he could do about that. Bob, and Brandon Roberson is back in the ballgame at tailback. I know that they spell Sutton from time to time. You see anything here, or is it just a pattern that Randy likes to do this way?
That early fumble,
yeah.
You don't know how the true freshman reacted. That's really the first time anything's gone wrong for him almost all season, as we see the option pitch right there to Roberson.
Roberson bounces it outside, hang on. 30, and at the 25-yard line is going to be knocked out of bounds by Grant Mason. And that is 33 yards on the option play.
And we talked about the option in football 101. You see right here, the quarterback's going to take a lick as we let it roll, but he did a great job of taking it to the defensive end. And Sean Herbert up there gets a block at the top of the field. Michigan loses contain, and Roberson takes it down the sideline. But the combination of spread passing and option football makes this an explosive offense.
That is a career long for him, a rush from scrimmage of 33 yards. Bazinet trying to get out of harm's way, and he's just going to throw this one away. Ron Franklin along with Bob Davie and Holly Rowe from Ryan Field in Evanston, Illinois. And what's at stake here tonight is Northwestern 3-1 in conference play. They're tied with a lot of folks at the top of the heap in Michigan with 2 losses. They can ill afford to lose another one. As you look across the way, starting center Adam Krause, very lonely position for him as he has a sprained right knee, and we would assume out for the ball game. Draw play. Here's Sutton. Tries to turn it upfield. That's a good open field stop right there by Burgess, the linebacker.
Ron, isn't it interesting in college football how stories play out? We look at Tyrell Sutton right there. Went to Akron-Hoban High School, played for Ralph Orsini, but grew up a Michigan fan. We asked him yesterday, if you could go to one school when you were in the 11th grade, laying in bed, thinking about where you may go play college football, where would you go? Hesitated just a second because he didn't tell us, but he said Michigan. And you knew he'd be excited when he saw those Michigan helmets come out of that locker room tonight to play against them.
Third down, they need to take it to the 15. That's where the pass is thrown. Now let's see the spot that they give him. Fillmore was the man who made the reception, and from where they put it down, it is just beyond the yellow line. And that should be enough for the Wildcat first down.
You see the timing route, Ron. Watch Mark Fillmore right here working on Grant Mason. And the quick release and quick delivery of Brett Bazinet. And this is a great timing offense, and these receivers from Northwestern deserve a lot of credit as well.
By the way, credit Sutton. Tyrell Sutton with a very good block on that play to help his quarterback get it off. He gets the handoff, spins right at the line of scrimmage, nothing doing. Michigan rises up and says, we're going to make you play second down and long. Big Gabe Watson, which is like trying to move all of Cook County at one time, is right there in the hole.
Well, when Tyrell Sutton was at Akron-Hoban, he didn't see guys like Gabe Watson. And interesting, Tyrell Sutton, 505 yards rushing in one high school football game against Youngstown Ursuline in high school, which is a good football program. But 505 yards in one game.
That's a little gaudy. By the way, the thing with Gabe Watson that the coaches told us, they try their best to keep him fresh, because when he's fresh, he's about as good as anybody as far as an interior defensive lineman. Throws the pass complete at the 11-yard line. Going to be a gain of only about 4. Sean Herbert on the receiving end, the junior out of Oxon Hill, Maryland.
We talk about quarterbacks that can throw on the run. This is my pick across this country of quarterbacks that can throw on the run. He does a tremendous job of just keeping it alive with those legs. And then how accurate is he throwing off the scramble?
What do you look for right here with a third down? They need to take it to the 5.
Boy, I tell you what, just about anything.
8th play of the drive started back at the 35-yard line. Straight drop. Here comes a middle screen, and a ball is incomplete. Boy, did Michigan play that well. Prescott Burgess with 2 huge hits on that series. You got to put an asterisk by his name.
And you asked me what I was looking for. I hesitated and stuttered. I know what Prescott Burgess was looking for. He was looking for that screen all the way.
Now, that's just a sign of good coaching and good preparation, because it's not like that was something that they were not looking for. Tonight's kick chart is brought to you by Allstate. 28-yard attempt from the near hash mark. And he got it. Howls from 28 yards, and we'll take a timeout. 12:39 left until halftime, and now it is Michigan 14-10 over Northwestern. So welcome back to Evanston, Illinois. Just as we talked to you about off the top of the telecast, a shootout. Well, that first quarter, I don't think anybody was disappointed. 24 points and a lot of yards by both football teams. And let's see here if Northwestern doesn't do the same thing that they've done every time so far tonight, and that is to pooch kick the ball to try to keep a long return from happening. And that's exactly what they do, as Mike Massey makes the catch out at around the 34-yard line. Bob, according to script, are you surprised, or is this about what you expected?
No, this is about what I expected. And one point I'd like to bring up for Lloyd Carr playing against Northwestern, even though Northwestern is getting a lot of attention around the country and a lot of respect, when you're at Michigan, you're still expected to beat Northwestern, because you have the budget, you have the tradition, you have the facilities. But in the era of spread offenses, beating the Northwesterns of the world are very difficult, and Lloyd Carr understands that better than anybody.
Running play with Jerome Jackson, the junior out of Saginaw, and it looks as though he's going to have about 5 yards in the play. And just what you're talking about is what adds even more pressure to every football game you play, but particularly this one here tonight.
It really does. And you look at Lloyd Carr, it's a little bit everything to lose and nothing to gain, because your alums and people out there, it's still Northwestern. But in this era of spread offense and that dreaded word parity, it is reality, Ron, every week.
Jackson again, straight up the middle. That's going to be plenty enough for the first down. And look at the drive by that offensive line as they just pushed Northwestern off the ball. Tarver finally made the stop, the strong safety.
And we got to talk about Jerome Jackson. Ron came in last week, finished the game against Iowa, scored the touchdown in overtime. Number 24 right there. Started last season as a starter, obviously beat out, but hung in there and persevered.
Well, one of the things that he likes to, he tells the coaches, I mean, he's a workhorse, and he likes that. He likes to get lathered up, carry the football a lot, and just what they're doing right here may not be pretty, but I'll tell you what, it's darn effective, because it makes play action really work.
Well, and you're right, and how difficult it is for a Jerome Jackson. Highly recruited, starting the season last year, worked his tail off to get in that position, and then Michael Hart takes over. But you got to give this guy a lot of credit for hanging in there.
Kevin Grady, number 3, the freshman out of Grand Rapids, checks into the ball game at tailback for Michigan. They lead it 14-10. About to go under 11 minutes left until halftime. Ball is incomplete at the 40-yard line. That's Avant. And the senior out of Chicago, Carver, has 12 yards in the play and showing why he's the favorite target.
And Michigan, a timing passing game. Right here, they're going to do a little outside route with the inside receiver and a curl route by Avant. And look at the timing right here. And Michigan, Ron, a team that reads coverages and adjusts routes on the run. And what a catch right there by Jason Avant.
Yeah, I hope that Ched said thank you when he came back to the huddle, because it was athleticism on Jason's part to make it work. Here we go with the reverse. And the quarterback is out front blocking. Tackle missed at the 35, and he'll finally be shoved out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Antonio Bass is the man who was out there loose. Cadella had a shot at him, couldn't get him down, and it'll be a gain of 8 yards in the play.
Always reverses when you play against Michigan, and Antonio Bass is an interesting story. High school quarterback, now a receiver, but he will line up some at quarterback. They used him in the spring to work against opposing team spread offenses. They needed an athletic quarterback. Look for Antonio Bass to get a snap or two at quarterback.
It's the best looking drive that Michigan has had since the opening drive of the night, when they scored in less than 5 minutes. Henny under center, looking, gets it off, screen back into the boundary. That's Grady, and Grady is going to have the first down, still on his feet. Boy, great effort. 20, 15, and he's down to around the 12-yard line. And boy, listen to the appreciation from those Michigan fans who were right there in front of the play, applauding loudly, and they really appreciated the fact that he didn't go down easily.
And you call that low center of gravity. When you're about 5'7", 228 pounds, I hate to use the term bowling ball, but it reminds you a little bit of a bowling ball. And you can see why he had so many yards in high school out of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
And those strong legs now. He keeps them turning. First down. They have the ball at the 12.5-yard line. They give it to him again. Grady, right tackle, and he's going to battle down to the 9. McGarrigle, and we have not called his name very much so far tonight, is there to make the tackle. He's the guy that not only gets them lined up right, but I guess you'd have to say probably the heart and soul of that Wildcat defense.
Well, when you talk about a Chicago guy, we don't have time to explain it, but just look in that helmet right there, because that's a Chicago guy from St. Patrick High School, south side of Chicago. He's had an unbelievable career. Came here actually as a running back out of high school.
Good speed, 4'5", weighs 235 pounds. Second down, Henny to throw this time. Great protection. Out on the flat, had a man open. The ball is caught by Will Paul. Then now they say incomplete. Boy, if he throws that one properly, he might be dancing in the end zone right now.
And it goes back to that point of touchdowns, not field goals in the red zone, as you see a wide open Will Paul out here in the flat and sets up a 3rd and 5. So I know it's 3rd down, but if you're Michigan, touchdowns in the red zone, not field goals.
Situation, about 3rd down. They got to go to the 2.5-yard line. The man to the top of your screen, Avant, number 8.
Northwestern run in man-to-man coverage.
Henny, short drop, wants to throw a fade route, and Avant's been held up, just throws it away. And I mean, he got locked up like it was a Saturday night dance, and the guy holding him there was in love.
You said it. Deontay Battle just locked him down at the line of scrimmage. It's straight man-to-man. They let him play in college football. Now, you can't hold him, but you're allowed to jam him. I tell you, that's kind of a standoff out there in the open field. Jason Avant didn't look like he was really expecting to be the primary receiver right there.
Yeah.
And here's the field goal attempt.
Garrett Rivas to attempt a 26-yarder from that right hash mark. You see his numbers, 13 of 18 on the season. They're going to have to hurry, and they call a timeout to avoid the 5-yard delay penalty. Matt Gutierrez is the reserve quarterback and also the holder. And boy, he had the presence of mind to hop up and call timeout.
Exactly. And, you know, we look down there at Lloyd Carr. You know, this may be Lloyd Carr's best coaching job when you think of all the circumstances, the injuries of this football team last year. And you know what? When you lose early at a place like Michigan, Ron, where the expectations are national championship, and that national championship hope goes out the window, it's tough to keep it alive. He's done a great job of not letting this football team unravel. There's another one of those injuries. There's not a team in the country that's had more injuries overall than Michigan.
Let's check down on the sideline with Holly Rowe. Holly?
Well, you're talking about him doing a good coaching job this year, guys, and one of the things he has done is work with his quarterback, Chad Henne. After a couple of early losses, the fans, everybody was on Henne's back. They were calling for his job. But Lloyd Carr told him when he recruited him, we are a team, me and you. We're going to handle anything good and bad together. He said, now keep in mind, the position of quarterback at Michigan is one with a lot of scrutiny, but he has kept his young quarterback's head in the game and positive during this difficult season.
Here comes the field goal attempt. He'll place it down at the 16. Again, Gutierrez is the holder. And here's the kick, and he splits it. So with 9:11 left until halftime, let's take a timeout. New score, Michigan 17 and Northwestern 10. We'll be right back with more from Evanston, Illinois.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Aflac. Ask about it at work. And smooth and refreshing Bud Light. Great taste for your great times.
Good look at downtown, the Windy City. Hey, what an absolutely gorgeous 3 days that we have spent up here, Bob. It's been just magnificent. Temperatures mild for this part of the world. Tonight it's only supposed to go into like the mid, maybe the low 40s. Wind is not really a factor. Total yardage, Michigan 171, Northwestern 224, and Northwestern has 4 plays of 20 yards or better. This kick is going to go 9 yards deep. They won't return it. Vince Clark, reserve offensive tackle, and I say reserve, he has been in the rotation and has been playing some behind Dylan Theory at left tackle, being taken to the locker room, and we'll try to get a report on him if we don't before halftime, certainly during halftime, and we'll give you something in the third quarter. Tyrell Sutton back in the ball game at tailback. Pass almost intercepted. Whoa. Grant Mason came up on the man coverage, and Bazinet a little lackadaisical on the toss.
And that time, not great communication. You're just going to get the out route right here. And watch Grant Mason. He bites and jumps on this football. Again, Ron, not great communication. Obviously, right there, Fillmore not expecting that ball to be thrown on rhythm. Grant Mason, transfer from Stanford, almost had him a pick for a touchdown.
Another one of those players that was moved from offense. Shovel pass inside, goes to Herbert. And let's check in with Holly Rowe again.
Well, Ron, Vince Clark has a sprained knee. He is not likely to return to this game, so that does affect Northwestern's depth. And for Michigan, just so you know, Adam Krause, their starting center, will not likely return either. He has got a sprained knee as well on the right side.
Ron, you talk about Vince Clark, the offensive lineman going out for Northwestern. Northwestern with only 1 quarterback sack given up the entire season. Now that is a remarkable statistic. Again, the quarterback that can run around and the spread offense helps you.
Well, they got a third down, and if they want to hold on to it, a timeout has been called by Northwestern. They got to take it out to the 30-yard line. So we'll take a timeout with them. 8:25 until halftime, and it's Michigan by a touchdown. We'll be right back. And we are back at the Wildcat there with an ESPN HD pumpkin. We understand the artwork is by Justin.
That Wildcat underneath there's probably about a 1,500 SAT here at Northwestern.
Well, the average SAT entrance is 1480.
How about that?
1480, yeah. Bazinet rolls the pocket to the right this time and drills this one, and boy, if he caught this one in bound, and he did, that is a really good play and catch. I mean, Fillmore didn't have a breath longer to stay in bounds. Good for 14 yards. And a defensive back has to just put up his hands and say, hey, I can't cover it any closer.
Chance. No chance as he keeps it alive with his legs again. And how about the delivery on the run right there to Fillmore?
It was Leon Hall who had the hit, caused the fumble, and the long return for the touchdown back in the opening quarter. That's Herbert in motion. Bazinet got a man over the middle, and incomplete as Thompson got turned around. Made that great grab in the first quarter, high over his head. This one kind of hit him in the midst, and he couldn't hold on to it.
And how about the time Brett Bazinet has to release his football as Thompson right here on the crossing route, wide open against zone coverage. And you said it, made a great catch earlier in the 6'4". Would love to have that one back, but how about the pass protection?
Yeah, very, very good. 8:12 to play until halftime. 17-10 Michigan. Four-man rush. They set up the screen. Here's Sutton, and boy, again, the linebackers come in, and that's Dave Harris this time who snipped out the draw play.
And it's interesting that they would come back and throw the screen, Ron, because on the previous play, it's not like Michigan linebackers are getting great depth on those drops to throw the screens. But David Harris has had an excellent year for Michigan. First year as a starter, another big third down.
Well, that's twice tonight that on screen plays that they have been just right there on the ball carrier as soon as he got the ball. Roberson is in a tailback replacing Sutton. Third down, they got to take it to the 46. Here comes pressure. Bazinet drills it. It's going to, no, they're not going to throw a flag. And I promise you the contact was early on that one. Grant Mason is excited, but the crowd is saying exactly what happened. There is a bump just before the ball gets there.
And it looked obvious to me.
Yeah.
Yes. Should have been called. Grant Mason over the top of Mark Fillmore. Again, the timing route. Not as good a look at right there, but Grant Mason got away with one right there.
Well, the crowd just got to look at it, and that's the reason for the reaction. Peterson, here's the kick, trying to kick this one away from the deep man, and he does. Going to go out of bounds at around the 30-yard line. The Miller moment in time, 1995, Northwestern 19-13. Ryan Greasy on a 3-yard run that gives Michigan a 13-6 lead. Then Matt Hurdle, game-winning TD catch, 12-24. And the final 19-13, Northwestern upends the 7th-ranked Michigan Wolverines at the time.
You know, Ron, it really is not like Northwestern has not been competitive over the years. You think back to the job Gary Barnett did here, took the Purple Pride to Pasadena that year. Really have done a remarkable job when you look at only about 7,000 students here on this campus. Really an Ivy League type environment. But trust me, for the last 10 years, nobody's really looked forward to playing Northwestern.
Bob, let me tell you something. There are 8 schools in the Big Ten that have larger alumni groups in the city of Chicago than Northwestern does because their enrollment is so small. Penny, play action, sets. Got a man wide open. It's Eckert in the flat 40 to the 45. Going to be knocked out of bounds, but not before he picks up the first down, +6, and it's Roach defensively, and a gain of 13.
And again, you see a problem Northwestern has with pass rush ability. They come into the game with only 5 sacks on defense. You're going to watch Tyler Eckert run come all the way across the field. That takes a lot of time to do that. Northwestern, not much pass rush ability up front.
Will Paul in the ball game at fullback. This is Jackson. Fake the reverse. He'll hold on to it. 45 to the 50. That's going to be a gain of 7 yards on the play. Tackled by Cadella and McGarrigle.
Again, reverse, fake reverse, always a part of the Michigan playbook. We look at big Jake Long, number 77 out there, the right offensive tackle. Good to have him back if you're Michigan. He is their best offensive lineman that was out basically all season with an ankle injury in camp.
Pure and simple. The bell cow, that's what they call it. Second down and short. A down to play with, so to speak. Short drop, quick out pass. Got it complete, and Breston, with the blocker in front, is going to have a gain down to the Northwestern 41-yard line. And just like that, Michigan moving the sticks rapidly.
And he caused Frederick Tarver, number 25, to blow a tire out here in the open field, as you watch right there. But that's not the first guy that Steve Breston has done that to. And good that he is healthy.
Now, if you're scoring at home or keeping up with things, not a completed pass. The ball was behind the line of scrimmage, so it's a rush up 7 yards. Jackson gets the handoff, and we got whistles.
Start against Michigan.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 89, offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So let's check in with Holly Rowe. Holly?
Well, guys, Jerome Jackson is listed as the 4th string running back, but he's obviously getting some good carries here tonight, and for good reason. Last week in the key 4th quarter against Iowa, the coaches put him in the game. Running back coach Fred Jackson kept getting on the headset and telling Lloyd Carr, he's ready, put him in. He finally listened, and he said that he has earned this playing time because of his performance in practice, so he might be listed as 4th string, but he's certainly contributing more for Michigan.
Gets the ball on the draw play here, cuts to his right, and he'll take it to the 40-yard line. So they got the 5 yards back that they lost on the penalty, and it'll be 2nd down and 10. That penalty a moment ago, by the way, the very first against the Wolverines in this opening half of play.
Michigan really avoiding penalties the last several weeks of this season. One of the reasons they've been able to win those close, dramatic games, Ron. Not a highly penalized team.
4.5 minutes remaining until intermission, and a touchdown right here would be huge as we close in toward halftime. Henny looking to his right, still looking. Gonna run it, and he'll be forced out of bounds at around the 38. McGarrigle is the man who was there to push him out. Time now for SportsCenter, 30 at 30.
Ron, just over 8 months after suffering a stroke, Teddy Bruschi will return to the field for the Patriots against the Bills on Sunday Night Football on ESPN. Bruschi's been cleared and ready to go. Manny Ramirez is ready to go in a different way out of Boston. He is demanding a trade and says he might not report to spring training if he doesn't get it. More on those stories on SportsCenter after the game. ESPN News all the time.
Okay, Reese, our situation, 3rd down, and Michigan needs to take it down to the 30-yard line of Northwestern. And this time the Wildcats with a 3-man rush, dropping everybody else in coverage. Henny looking, drills it, and has it complete, and that is Avant at the 20-yard line. That should move the sticks right there with a gain of 18.
Boy, we talk about Northwestern lack of pass rush. Michigan, excellent job protecting the passer. Look at the time right here Chad Henne has as you see Jerome Jackson step up.
Well, the play goes straight ahead for little or nothing.
Quick snap right there by Michigan. You see Chad Henne kind of laughing right there. Might have got a little overly excited. Thought he saw a bigger hole in there than what Northwestern showed, but that was kind of an interesting quarterback sneak right there on 1st and 10.
I looked up and I was thinking, you know, as you
Terry Malone,
the offensive coordinator, but one of those situations where I was looking to see if somebody was jumping off sides and he was trying to catch them. That was not the case. 2nd down at about 8.5. Henny out in the flat, got it complete, missed tackle on Breston, and not going to have the 1st down, or he may. He is very close on the missed tackle and the 2nd effort, as Cadella is the man who made the stop, and it was Tarver that was out there on him, couldn't put a hold on him.
And again, Frederick Tarver getting the start tonight at safety, misses the tackle in the open field. If you're going to play a bend but don't break defense, play a lot of zone coverage, Ron, you have to be able to tackle in the open field.
They've misspotted this ball by 1.5 yards. They have moved it to the 10-yard line, and if you look at the replay, he stepped out of bounds before he got to the 11. They've given him a 1st and goal. Pass in the flat, and Paul wide open. Let's take one more look at where he went out of bounds on this play. Right here he is hit, and he is stepping out of bounds where? That's the 12-yard line. They gave him the 10. So Michigan gets
I'm not sure that should have been spotted on the 12, but they may have been a little bit generous with that spot right there.
But Bob, they put it on the 10. I mean, that's at least 1.5 yards, if not 2 yards improvement of where he actually was shoved out of bounds. About to go under 3 minutes to play until halftime. 11th play of the drive. Got a man this time in the flat, has it complete, and Mike Masick will score the touchdown.
They have found something out there in the flat that they like. That time they didn't send Will Paul, the fullback, in the flat. They sent Massey, the younger brother of Pat Massey, to take advantage of that opening in the flat of that coverage.
Well, you could see the excitement of the team. That was a popular touchdown right there, with the younger Mr. Massey making the reception. Rivas to attempt the extra point. He's got it right down the middle. Timeout, 2:57 remaining until halftime. And our new score, Michigan 24 and Northwestern 10. So we're back 24-10, Michigan on top. Show us what happened, Bob.
When you talk about good coaching, we said Will Paul had dropped some balls in the flat. If we freeze it right here, they put Mike Massey in right here at fullback, a tight end, and run him to the flat. So they knew the route was there. They saw Will Paul drop 2 balls out in the flat. They put Mike Massey in. That's good coaching right there.
Yeah.
That is good coaching to be able to get that done. Keep in mind, Kevin Dudley, the fullback, Michigan's fullback last year, now playing in the NFL. So I like that adjustment right there.
11 plays, 71 yards, 4 minutes and 22 seconds. And this kick again is going to go out of the back of the end zone. Northwestern will be 80 yards away. Reese Davis, let's check in with you.
Well, Ron, you referenced earlier last year's Oklahoma State-Texas game. Longhorns came from 35-7 down. Watch this deflection and tell me it's not the Pope's night. DeJuan Woods off the deflection, touchdown, and Oklahoma State winless in the Big 12 with a 28-9 lead in Stillwater. And UCLA's offense has its hands full on the farm. The Bruins unbeaten, but trailing the Cardinal of Stanford 7-3 deep in the third.
And Frank Beamer is sitting on that lazy boy rocker watching tonight and say, "Go Cowboys in Stillwater."
That's right. This afternoon he was saying, "Go Tar Heels." Bazinet gets the ball away, and we're going to have a flag at the 25-yard line. Morgan Trent.
Interference, number 14, defense. That's a spot foul with an automatic first down.
Well, tonight's BCS standings brought to you by Allstate. And we take a look. Texas, then SC, then Virginia Tech. And, of course, that's what Bob is talking about. The coaches up at Virginia Tech, I'm sure, with a close eye on that scoreboard tonight.
Can I make a point on this? Never in the history of the BCS since its inception has the first 2 teams in the first 2 polls played in the championship game.
Right. Intercepted at the 28-yard line by Michigan's Grant Mason. And again, it appeared that Northwestern's wide receiver and quarterback had a miscommunication.
And Ron, that just does not happen, as you see Brett Bazinet right there looking for Mark Fillmore. But Mark Fillmore ran down the football field. Brett Bazinet expected him to break it to the out. Little out and up. And Grant Mason, earlier in the game, Ron, almost had a pick in a similar opportunity. But that's not the norm for this Northwestern offense. And right now, this Northwestern defense has to step up, or this thing could get away from them.
Big time. They're down 2 touchdowns, 24-10. And they'll go straight ahead with the running play. That's Jerome Jackson.
And Ron, we talked about in the open, Holly actually talked about it. How does a team like Northwestern handle being the target? How do they handle being the hunted? Coming into this game, Brett Bazinet, big full spread in USA Today, big picture. All of a sudden, they're not the underdog anymore. And you see the young freshman Tyrell Sutton fumble early. You see the experienced quarterback Brett Bazinet, Fillmore not on the same page. All of a sudden, you're the hunted and not the hunter.
Second down, they need to take it to the 18-yard line. Quick out pass, got that one out to Breston, and Breston 20 at the 15, breaks a tackle at the 10. It'll be first and goal, Michigan, from in the vicinity of the 5-yard line. Kelvin Mims finally stopped him.
And again, excellent blocks by Jason Avant and Carl Taft. Watch both wide receivers up here. Anytime you're going to throw the bubble screen, the receivers have to block. A little bit of holding right there by Carl Tabb, who's their best blocker. But again, missed tackles, haunted Northwestern on the last drive, getting them again.
So it's first down. You can see the ball just outside the 5-yard line. Again, Jerome Jackson is the man at tailback. And he'll get the handoff. And it's going to be stopped right at the line of scrimmage. Deontay Battle, the sophomore out of Fayetteville, Georgia. Number 22 is there to make the tackle.
And let me say it again, Ron. Touchdowns, not field goals for Michigan in the red zone. This Northwestern offense, you're not seeing the typical output from Northwestern. They will be back in this football game. So Michigan, touchdowns.
You see each team with 2 timeouts. Clock about to go under 1:20 until halftime. Jackson right up the middle, fights his way for a couple of tough yards. And that will make it 3rd down and goal from the 3. Nick Roach from that middle linebacking spot there to make a tackle.
Barry Cofield also on the stop, along with Herschel Henderson.
So Northwestern calls a timeout, and they'll stop the clock with 70 seconds showing on it. And let's check back at the studio. Reese Davis, what do you got for us, partner?
Ryan, coming up on the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report, Lou and Mark alongside. You know, it's Halloween weekend, guys. Maybe that's what's going on with all the undefeateds. Georgia's gone down. Texas and UCLA in a world of trouble. And we'll also talk about how the Big Ten is set up for a showdown next week.
And I'll tell you how Oklahoma State's defeating Texas. Offense, defense, special teams, every facet of the game.
And you watch Texas, you make you glad you're here and not coaching.
You always say a different team every week, right? You can't compare the scores. You never know who's going to show up. We'll see if the Longhorns can have another big rally as they did last year, Ron.
Okay, thanks very much, guys. We look forward to hearing from you at the intermission. And that will be in 70 seconds of playing time. Michigan 24 and the Wildcats 10. And the head coach of Northwestern knows that if they get this thing in for a touchdown, he's going to have a pretty high mountain to climb in that second half, regardless of how good his offensive unit can be.
Well, and why Randy Walker looks so disappointed, Ron, he knows they can play better. You can accept some things if your team gives its best shot. He knows they are a much better football team than what they're playing right now.
Here comes a huge down in this football game, I believe, with a 3rd down and goal from the 3. Michigan trying to push this thing out to a 3-touchdown lead. Jerome Jackson, left guard, going to be pushed back, and it's going to be 4th down. And Michigan's special teams beginning to move off the sideline, but they're not there as yet. And it was Schultz, the man who led the charge. When was the last time Michigan lost to Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Northwestern in the same year? And here's a hint. The answer can be found in the ESPN College Football Encyclopedia on page 502. That answer coming up later on.
Bo Schembechler probably sitting back in Ann Arbor right now, Ron, with that ESPN Encyclopedia. Going back looking to 502 see when the last time that happened.
You know something? I'll bet Bo knows. He was not coaching at the time, but I bet he does know when the last time that happened. As you look at Garrett Rivas, the junior out of Tampa Jesuit High School.
And I know Michigan wants touchdowns, Ron, but I really do think they have to go ahead here, kick the field goal from 4th and goal at the 2.5-yard line.
Well, let's check in with Holly Rowe down on the sideline.
Well, guys, the Michigan sideline is a little empty tonight. The longtime equipment manager, John Falk, is at home. We're actually in the hospital right now with a broken leg he suffered on the sideline against Iowa. This is his first game in 32 years he's missed. That's 384 Michigan games he's been on the sideline. So we got to say hey to John in the hospital tonight.
You bet. We send along our best. We hope things are going well. Wish you were here with your guys. Field goal attempt is going to be placed down at around the 10-yard line. And they're going to say officially that it is a 19-yard attempt. Good pass, and he's got it. He splits it. So 58 seconds left until halftime, and will hold it right here, and Michigan improves that lead to 27-10. Well, the answer to tonight's Aflac trivia question: when was the last time Michigan lost to Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Northwestern in the same year? 1934.
Wow. That's before the spread offense. That's before Minnesota one-back zone blocking scheme. Probably, obviously, before face masks. But right now, Ron, Northwestern with an opportunity, depending on, obviously, field position, coming off this kickoff return, to try to end on a positive here before this half ends.
Tell you what, give this young man, Ross Ryan, a great deal of credit tonight for his kickoffs. He's not given Northwestern a lot of opportunities to get returns and break something. And this one is going to go about 5 or 6 yards deep again.
We talk about this Michigan defense struggling with spread offenses, Ron. You go back to last year, it started against Ohio State, gave up 37 points. Texas in the Rose Bowl, 38 points. This year, Michigan State, 31. I think they've played well so far in the first half.
Bazinet to Sutton right across the middle as they try to get him the ball and see what he can do, getting him in space. And he'll take it all the way out to the 36. Burgess on the tackle. Also, Brandon Harrison was there to help out.
Northwestern with no timeouts.
Right. So the gain of 17. Bazinet trying to just run away, and he throws that one away. Alan Branch was one of the young men from Michigan in hot pursuit. There's big number 80.
And you look at the size of this Michigan defense.
Well, they drop him in coverage sometimes.
That's amazing.
Well, he's over 300.
And a guy from New Mexico, talking about Branch, one of the few really major college players from New Mexico, dropped about 40 or 50 pounds. That's why they're dropping into coverage. He's down to 300 now.
That's going to scare a quarterback and a receiver. Bazinet steps up, puts it out in the flat. And that Sutton puts a move on, and he's going to have the first down plus 3 yards. Clock stops at 34 seconds. It's good for 13 yards.
You see the quickness of Sutton, and if he's not going to get out of bounds, Randy Walker says, look, go make the first down, so the clock stops that way.
Down to 30 seconds until halftime. Bazinet got a man, and he was just a little off target for Herbert.
Just a lot of miscommunication between these receivers. Again, Michigan, a team, Ron, we saw early, disguises coverages. Sometimes it gets them in trouble, but they don't give the quarterback a clear picture, or the receiver. Maybe part of the problem in communication right now.
On second down, Bazinet moves to his left. Now he's going to have to run. Gets it away, has it complete, and that's Herbert. And that's enough for the first down at the 35-yard line of Michigan.
He threw that one to the left on the run. Again, keeping it alive with his legs. You see why they've only given up 1 sack? And he throws a dart rolling to his left.
Gets it off quickly. 15 seconds left. Going to go on top. He has a man, and it is caught for the touchdown. Fillmore, can you believe it?
Why does Michigan need to score touchdowns and not field goals, Ron? That's why right there.
There are 3 flags down on the play.
Defense, penalties declined, touchdown.
Ron, you know, the field judge was making the call, calling interference. We get Grant Mason on Fillmore. Obviously, interference, but a great job by the field judge to go ahead and see if Fillmore was in bounds and had possession.
Howells with the extra point attempt, and he's got it. That drive took 49 seconds.
With no timeouts and the ability of the quarterback to keep things alive. But watch this. Fillmore one-on-one with Grant Mason. Obviously interference, great concentration, and a great job by the field judge of not only throwing the flag on the interference, but signaling the touchdown. That's a great concentration play by Fillmore.
Fillmore. He had almost more than he could say grace over right there, but he maintained his composure and brought it in for the touchdown.
And Northwestern with 17 points and not clicking by any stretch of the imagination on offense.
They're now saying officially 47 seconds on the drive rather than 49. 6 plays, 80 yards.
And what a great boost psychologically, Ron, just going in at halftime after making that play in a 47-second drive for a touchdown.
Wow. Randy Walker's got something to build on at halftime. And Lloyd Carr across the way does as well, to say this is the reason, hey, don't rest on your laurels now, because these kids, they're not averaging what they're averaging just by mistake. That's Thompson, the fullback, one of the blocking backs, who takes the kick, and it's at 5 seconds. Next Saturday night, ESPN will have a showdown of two of the nation's best. Number 6 at number 3. The Miami Hurricanes travel to Blacksburg, and that's where Bob, Holly, and myself will be. 7:45 Eastern. Primetime presented by Polaroid, and that game will be in HD.
If you appreciate explosive defensive linemen, just watching that game today, Miami with just a tradition, Ron, of those pass rushing defensive linemen. I mean, when they get in that three-point stance, look out. And Virginia Tech's about the same.
Now Michigan's going to call a timeout.
Well, if Braylon Edwards was here, I would say take number 1 down that field and throw it as far as you can throw it, Chad Henne.
Well, Lloyd Carr here is saying, hey, I got one more at bat here with 5 seconds showing upon the clock, and who knows what might happen. If we do throw a long one, maybe get a pass interference, and we don't complete it, might have an opportunity. Well, they wouldn't be far enough along for a field goal attempt. Michigan still with 1 timeout left after this one that they're taking right now.
And isn't it amazing, particularly at the wide receiver position, when you lose someone, the weapon like Braylon Edwards was. Chad Henne inherits Braylon Edwards his freshman year as quarterback. Jason Avant has had a tremendous year, 62 catches, but Braylon Edwards, Ron, just went up and made those plays on those jump balls. And him taken away from this offense obviously is taking a chunk of productivity.
First down, 5 seconds left. And he rolls the pocket to the right, steps up, and here it comes. Going to throw Hail Mary, and that ball is intercepted by Northwestern at the 10-yard line, and we are at halftime. And it's going to be Henderson who came up with that pickoff. And let's go down to Holly Rowe with a quick interview with the head coach from Northwestern. Holly?
Coach, you told me you were nervous this week with all of the attention. How would you assess your team's focus in the first half?
Oh, we made some mistakes that put some points on the board, and you never want to have that happen. But I think we're playing hard. We got to take the self-inflicted wounds out and just keep going. We got a good chance to get back in this game with this next drive.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Okay, Holly, thanks very much. Randy Walker heads to the locker room. A good way to put it. Self-inflicted wounds, and that's what it's been. Score at halftime, Michigan 27 and Northwestern 17. Now here's Reese Davis with the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report. Reese?
All right, Ron, Big Ten game's never over these days. They shoot it out all over the place. We'll show you how some of those played out. And look at these stunners going on. We started the day with 6 unbeaten teams. Oklahoma State has been hapless this season, but they put the wood to Texas in the first half. We'll show you how they've done it. And Stanford on the farm, up by 11 on UCLA going to the fourth quarter. Remember, the Bruins have rallied 3 times from double-digit fourth-quarter deficits this year. Coming up in the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report, some of the Big Ten was sorted out in a wild day, particularly in Minnesota and in the SEC. All of a sudden, that SEC East might be a little bit open. And look who's coming back to the NFL on Sunday night.
Welcome back to the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report.
After beating Texas Tech, Texas was brimming with confidence. Their fine offensive tackle, Jonathan Scott, asked what should worry the Longhorns. He said, maybe a plague breaking out in the locker room. Orange plague has hit Stillwater. Burnt Orange having a little trouble with Mike Gundy's Cowboys. Oklahoma State winless in the Big 12 on 4th and 1. How about a little play action and up top Alpena to Dewan Woods?
Even fooled the cameraman on that play. There's no Texas Longhorn within 15 yards of him. A great call by Gundy.
And then after a turnover, Pena keeps it himself. The Pokes 21-6. This team's averaging about 17 a game. Texas averaging, giving up about 14. And then a fortuitous bounce that Woods would grab. It is a Pontiac game-changing nominee. And off the deflection, Oklahoma State went up 28-9. Texas got a field goal late, 16-point lead at the half.
But let's remember last year, Oklahoma State led 35-7 late in the second quarter, and Texas came back to win by about 20.
That's right. With Texas, what they did, they scored a touchdown before the half to make it 35-14 and then finished 56-35. Scored 49 in a row. We'll see if the Longhorns can do that. Meanwhile, Carl Durrell's team, one of the 6 unbeatens coming into the day, on the farm to take on Stanford. They hadn't won there since 1997. Trent Edwards to J.R. Lemon, making lemonade. And now Drew Olson, who's been so good, in trouble by that Stanford defense that's emerging.
And Walt Harris has his Stanford defense right on tune. The last 3 weeks, they've been hot on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Very efficient on the offensive side of the ball.
And Stanford taking advantage of a rare UCLA turnover, and the Cardinal on the farm up by 14 in the 4th quarter. Crosstown rivals USC taking on Washington State. Matt Leinart and the Trojans going for 30 in a row. Here's Leinart to Steve Smith. Headgear, one-way football right in his arms. Second quarter, SC, 3rd and goal, up 28-6. Lendale White cruises in. You know, maybe this is for Shizzle Televizzle.
Well, Lendale White was in the hizzle.
Okay. Snoop Dogg.
I'm too old for it.
If the Heisman is fly, you must buy. 55-13. Georgia unbeaten taking on Florida. Joe Tereshinski playing for the injured DJ Shockley at quarterback. Gator offense have been anemic against good defenses, but the opening drive, 13 plays, 80 yards, Leak finished it, and then finished on his second drive by finding Tate Casey, the tight end. And tight end. 2 drives. Gators had 14. 3rd quarter, trickeration. Thomas Brown, Tereshinski got up off the deck, made the catch, 14-10, but under 2 minutes to play. Some curious play calling late by the Dogs, Mayday.
I don't understand this by Mark Richt. Give your team a chance to win. 4th quarter, less than 3 minutes to go. Throw the ball vertically.
Dogs dropped from the ranks of the unbeaten 5, perhaps counting. Alabama on homecoming against Utah State. Mike Shula letting Brody Croyle get loose. They scored 14 in a hurry, and then DJ Hall had 11 more catches. First receiver in Alabama history. Look at that grab, guys.
Wow.
They have back-to-back double-digit reception days. Croyle threw for 3 touchdowns, 279 yards. This time Hall with a much easier catch. Alabama up 21-0, and then Ken Darby.
Oh, Ken Darby's a great back, gets good blocking, has great peripheral vision, and just takes it all the way to the house for a touchdown, puts them up 35-3.
Alabama would roll on. They've got Mississippi State next. In fact, this is what the remaining undefeated teams have on their plate coming up. Stanford, all of a sudden, that doesn't look so easy for the Trojans after what they're doing to UCLA at the moment.
Not at all. It's amazing what Stanford's been able to do under Walt Harris the last couple weeks. But not only that, UCLA, this is a team defensively that's always had problems from day one this season.
But let's also remember Stanford's beaten UCLA 3 straight times up in Stanford.
You know, if these scores stand up, we would cut the unbeaten from 6-3 on Halloween weekend. Trick or treat! You never know what you're going to get in your bag of tricks from the Big Ten, either Ohio State and Minnesota. Ted Ginn Jr. had a punt return for a touchdown last week against Indiana, and now just hit that A sprint button, gone.
Ding! It's Ted Ginn.
Here's the amazing thing. When he scores, he's got to look back because he ran one back 97 yards last week, but was nullified by a penalty. This one stood up.
No flags. And finally, Antonio Pittman hadn't scored a touchdown in about a calendar year. Takes it in, 67 yards. Buckeyes put 45 up. They win it by 14. Wisconsin, only 1 loss in Big Ten play, taking on the Fighting Illini. And boy, what a day Brian Calhoun had.
What tremendous vision. I like those goggles he's got on that visor because he can see everything. But not only that, the blocking he gets on the left side, fouling his blockers. Look at the cut. And the sweet feet. Watch that move. You used to be able to run like that.
Oh, I tell you what, reminds me of me when I watched from the sideline.
5 touchdowns for Calhoun, nearly 200 yards, 41-24. Wisconsin has Penn State next. And speaking of the Nittany Lions, there he is, high and mighty Joe, taking on Purdue. Michael Robinson to Dion Butler. Those talented young wideouts. Penn State would go on, make it 13-7 after inside the 20. And Brandon Snow plowing his way in there. Nittany Lions got a challenge from Purdue. Played hard, but Purdue 0-5 in the Big Ten. They're not going to a bowl game. 33-15 the final.
I love those uniforms compared to Florida's.
You know what? That's exactly right, Coach. If you have tradition, you don't need to be messing around with the uniform. I love Penn State uniforms, and Michigan's too, and Michigan State 45-16 winner over Indiana. Okay, this is the way the Big Ten standings look right now. We have 4 at the moment teams with 1 loss in conference play. Northwestern obviously trailing Michigan by 10, the game that we're all enjoying. Who's in the best seat right now?
Well, the way Wisconsin played today offensively, they've got the big matchup next week against Penn State.
Teddy Bruschi is going to return to the lineup for the Patriots tomorrow night against the Buffalo Bills. This coming just 8 months or so after suffering a stroke. Bruschi, part of that Super Bowl winning team a year ago, went to the Pro Bowl. He's been cleared. He is ready to return to the field. It is one of the great storylines of our generation. Teddy Bruschi coming back from a stroke to play in the pros. Bills and Patriots in HD, Sunday Night Football.
The Pontiac Performance Halftime Report is powered by Pontiac, official performance machines of the NCAA.
So we are back looking at some of the highlights of the first half, and take a look at these numbers. Almost 600 yards in total offense between the two teams, and already Northwestern at 321, Bob. But look at the points off turnovers. That's what's so big.
And Northwestern with 3 turnovers, Ron, came into this game with only 11 turnovers in 7 games. And if you're Michigan defensively right now looking at Northwestern, you realize they have not executed and clicked on all cylinders, but because of that big drive at the end of the first half, have 321 total yards offense.
Tell you what, the young man with his hand over his head right there has been a lethal weapon for Michigan tonight, and he is again. Northwestern simply cannot get a return because of the outstanding kickoffs that he has had. So, Bob, with our score 27-17 at halftime, take us into the locker room. What do you think both head coaches told their football teams?
I think it's pretty simple. If I'm Randy Walker in Northwestern, we have not played our best football yet. Communication is a key for Northwestern. You saw several times in the first half, Brett Bazinet and his receivers not on the same page. Michigan disguises coverage. I mean, they line up with 2 safeties deep and they drop down to 1 safety. So work out the communication and then hold on to the football if you're Northwestern and just execute.
This is Sutton, and he's going to go for 16 yards on the run from scrimmage. Leon Hall finally put a stopper on him. But that is a huge plus to start this second half of play.
Keep in mind, Tyrell Sutton, Ron, 244 yards against a Wisconsin defense. So they are balanced as an offense.
Tonight, 31 yards and 7 carries. Also, remember something else, Bob. He catches the ball really well. That ball thrown low to him, incomplete. He had 10 catches in 1 ball game, has extremely good hands, and they like to go to him.
Really is kind of, in some ways, Ron, the 5th wide receiver in this spread offense.
Looked as though Bazinet just decided, let's keep it out of harm's way and just throw that one into the ground. So they scored in 47 seconds to end the first half, or right at the end of the first half. So they have proven that they can score and score quickly. Bazinet, quarterback draw. Flag comes down. That's going to be offensive holding against Northwestern, as Crable was there to make the stop for the Wolverines. And here comes the call.
Holding, number 52, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. Second down.
And a key drive, obviously, in this game, depending on how it turns out, Ron, maybe in Northwestern season, a 47-second drive at the end of the first half with no timeouts. Northwestern takes it 80 yards. The big play, Bazinet to Fillmore right now. They beat Grant Mason. No timeouts, take the football 80 yards. You may look back at the end of this season and say that was pivotal.
And holding call was on Belding. He's the redshirt freshman out of Seville, Ohio. They try to get him a lot of help. That ball tipped, whoa, very close to being picked off. Fillmore, the intended receiver, and it was Grant Mason who was right there in the middle of traffic again.
Again, just the quick slant. That time Michigan in zone coverage. Ball really should have been caught by Mark Fillmore.
The numbers on Bazinet, 16 of 29, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions. Steps back in the pocket under heavy pressure, and he's going to be sacked back at the 10-yard line by Sean Crable. Boy, and the damage here is, look where they're going to have to punt from.
And Sean Crable, the linebacker, comes around on the twist stunt, and that was a great effort by the young linebacker Sean Crable. 6'5", 245 pounds. Keep in mind, Michigan, that's only their 16th sack on the year, Ron, in 8 football games.
Peterson is not going to be able to angle this one necessarily. They just want to make sure they can get a decent punt away, and they do. Good long driving spiral all the way back to the 38 is Breston, and 45, 50, and he's going to be tripped up as he crosses the 50-yard line. 51 yards in the kick and 16 on the return, and it was Malio who made the tackle for the Wildcats.
And a good start defensively for Michigan. That defense had to have lost some confidence there at the end of the first half. That's a great way to start on defense.
10-point lead for the Wolverines. They're going to open up this series with Grady at tailback. They'll pitch it to him, and they run it back into the short side of the field, and he's going to be knocked down, but not before he picks up 5, maybe 6 yards in the play. Holly Road, let's check with you.
Checking in with Lloyd Carr, head coach for Michigan at halftime. He said, how do you stop their offense in the second half? He said, keep doing what we're doing. He's actually pretty pleased with their game plan in the first half of slowing Northwestern down. He said, you take away a couple of key mistakes we made on long plays and would be right where we want to be. Plus, they gained great momentum coming out for the first half first series in this half and forcing a punt. So Michigan keeping at what they're doing that they did in the first half to slow down Northwestern.
Here comes the bubble screen, 40, 35 down to the 30. Manningham on the receiving end. And now let's see if they call it a backward pass or a forward pass. It is a rush. It is a backwards pass. Roach is the man who makes the tackle.
And you see Michigan really taking advantage of their athleticism. Northwestern, Ron, really a difficult time tackling on defense, particularly at the end of that first half. Really just kind of a toss sweep, get it out there to the receiver in the open field.
Grady tries right guard, going to be covered up quickly, gain of a couple. Kelvin Mims was the first man for Northwestern to make contact with him.
Well, and I think Michigan obviously has to run the football, but look for them to take some shots down the field. In the first half, really never challenged the undersized Northwestern corners. You know, they're 5'9", 5'8" at the corners. You know they're going to get good pass protection. I look for Michigan to take some shots down the field a little bit here in the second half.
Deontay Battle, you get a good look at him, number 22, sophomore out of Fayetteville, Georgia. Second down, they need to take it down to the 18-yard line to move the chains. Play action. Got a man thrown too far in front, looking for Avant. Reese Davis, let's check back with you. What do you got for us?
Ron, maybe that nightmarish script is unfolding for Oklahoma State again against Texas, up 28-12. And, well, Vince Young faked out everybody, including the cameraman, and now Vince is going to set sail. right down the sideline in less than a minute into the second half. Young has Texas on the board, 28-19. And UCLA scored a touchdown on the farm, but Stanford still over the unbeaten Bruins by 14.
A lot of football to play in both of those games, and a lot of them going on tonight. Third down. Again, got to take it to the 18. Good protection. Now it breaks down. Pass is caught, and a nice open field tackle by Cadella. He's out there to slow down that play and stop what could have been, if he breaks that tackle, it would have been a first down. Carl Tabb on the receiving end.
And a good job by Northwestern of just keeping the ball in front of him. Carl Tabb forced to run the crossing route. Good open field tackle by Adam Cadella.
So they're going to go for it. No field goal unit on the field here.
Out of respect for the Northwestern spread offense.
Fourth down, the line of scrimmage is the 23. They need 5 yards for the first. And now Henney's going to call a timeout.
And see if Lloyd talks himself out of going for it on fourth down now that he has more time.
Well, you look at Lloyd Carr, and right now you can call him Lloyd the Riverboat Gambler. He got a 4th and 5 at the 23, needs to take it to the 18. And let's see, is he going to go with a hard count, or are they going to run the football or throw it here?
Got to keep an eye on Breston on the crossing route.
Going to throw it. Got his man, and it is incomplete. Wow, that was not even close.
And it was Steve Breston on the crossing route. And that is the style of the Northwestern defense. Bend, bend, bend. And that time, Ron, they did not break. You're going to see Breston right here on the crossing route. Nick Roach gets picked by the umpire. The ball thrown behind him.
You're right. That was a great legal pick, wasn't it? That's a difficult position to be in as an official. Here comes the option. He pitches it back to Sutton. Tries to turn the corner. He's going to wind up with a gain of about 4 on the play. And defensively, Pierre Woods was out there to make the tackle. Let's see what the marker is down at the line of scrimmage.
I think we're going to get holding out here on the wide receiver from Northwestern, trying to hold that block.
Number 3, offense. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
Much easier to see holding, Ron, on those outside receivers than it is on the interior linemen. And we're going to get a look at it. Sean Herbert, the leading receiver right here, locked up with that left hand. Have to call it. You see the defensive back, number 31, Brendan Engelman. Good call.
So first down to 20. There's the shovel pass. And Fillmore gets it. Always a very safe play. Actually got a double option off of it. You can pitch behind or in front.
And a great play by Pierre Woods. Watch Pierre Woods right here, I believe, Ron. He is not only going to talk the quarterback out of running the option, he's going to fold back underneath and take the pitch as well. Great athletic play by number 99.
He's a large fellow, 6'5", 249, fifth-year senior out of Cleveland. Bazinet stepping up, got a man, and it can't hold on. Fillmore coming back to help out his quarterback, but with the momentum that he had running back toward the football, and the pass had a lot of steam on it, couldn't hold on.
And Fillmore's had kind of a hot and cold night, had kind of a hot and cold season. Came into this season, the ball is overthrown right there, but high expectations for Mark Fillmore coming into the season run. He had an ankle in the first game against Ohio U. He had a little disciplinary situation where he lost the game. Back healthy, but kind of an up and down guy so far.
Third down, they need to take it out to the 33. Bazinet rolls the pocket, still rolling it, goes long, and it is overthrown, incomplete at the 50-yard line. That was Ross Lane that he was looking for.
Excellent pressure again by Michigan's front four, particularly Alan Branch, number 80, the big 6'6", 300-pound guy from New Mexico, Ron.
Fifth time that Northwestern will have had to punt in this ball game. 9:30 left, third quarter, 27-17. See the numbers on Peterson. Average of 46.8. This is not his best punt. Line drive gets you in trouble every time. 45, 40, and all the way back to the 36-yard line is Breston. 39 yards on the punt and 21 on the return. And as we said, that one did not have a lot of height on it.
And Holly's report, talking to Lloyd Carr at halftime, give Michigan's defense, Jim Herman, the defensive coordinator, a lot of credit. Lloyd said at halftime he was happy with the plan. They gave up a couple big plays, but excellent start to the second half for the Michigan defense. Sets up great field position right here.
Grady will open this sequence at tailback. Going to throw the screen. Grady, and the minute he catches the ball, he catches two defenders. It's time now for SportsCenter 30 at 30.
Ron, tomorrow night on Sunday Night Football, the return of Teddy Bruschi. Just over 8 months after suffering a stroke, Bruschi is back with the Patriots. He'll go against the Bills on ESPN. Manny Ramirez wants out of Boston, says he wants a trade from the Red Sox, and if he doesn't get one, he might not report to spring training. More on that story coming up on SportsCenter after the game. ESPN News never goes off.
Okay, Reese. 8 minutes and 35 seconds left in this one. Big opening for Grady. Bounces it outside 35 and is now being pushed back and is covered up in purple. Marquise Cole is the man who says, not in my backyard, you're not. It looked as though if he turned the corner, Bobby, he had a lot of running room, but he couldn't turn it.
And a good block by Will Powell, the fullback. Watch 34 right here. The ball springs outside. And let's go back. Mike Hart, not playing in this football game, has not taken a snap tonight. Huge for this Michigan offense without number 20 on that field.
Well, as I said, nothing against these other running backs, but as the coaches say, Mike Hart brings a spirit that nobody else has in that offensive backfield. Steps up, drills the ball, intercepted. Threw it right to McCargill.
Talk about a linebacker reading the quarterback. Watch McGargle right here, the middle linebacker, and just watch him read the quarterback in zone coverage right here. I mean, flat threw it right to him. This guy was a running back in high school. This is a defensive slugfest all of a sudden, Ron, here in the second half.
So Bazinet goes back on offense as they have it 1st and 10 at their own 36. And he'll go with the running play. And here comes Sutton, and he is strutting. And Sutton's going to take it out across the 50-yard line and is tackled at the 47. Ron Franklin, along with Bob Davie and Holly Rowe, coming to you tonight from Evanston, Illinois. And what's on the line is, well, Northwestern wants to maintain that one-loss record in the Big Ten race. Michigan can ill afford to lose. They've already got a couple of losses. Michigan 10 points off 3 Northwestern turnovers in this ball game. Quick out pass. Got that one to Fields, and Jonathan Fields, youngster out of Sweeney, Texas. Not real big, but a speedster, tackled by Pierre Woods. I mean, Pierre's been all over the field in this third quarter. He has been impressive.
Highly recruited player. When you talk about Pierre Woods, Cleveland Glenville High School, that rings a bell because Teddy Ginn's father, the head coach there, kind of gone back and forth between linebacker and defensive end at Michigan.
Cobb, the tight end, resets. The running play will go for only a couple of yards. And let's check down on the sideline and Holly Rowe.
Guys, Brett Bazinet is feeling a sense of urgency right now. Before they took the field for this series, he got in his offensive line's face, clapping his hands and yelling, guys, get out there. We have got to start creasing them. He said, I want your hands inside, no holding. Let's get those creases. We're stopping ourselves. Let's start to make this happen. They can't stop us if we'll quit stopping ourselves.
Well, as the head coach said at halftime, self-inflicted, and he is exactly right. 10 points coming off turnovers. Lob pass, flag is down, and that's complete to Fillmore. You know, Bob, is that going to be offensive or defensive?
I think they're going to call holding. I think number 90, Alan Branch, got held by the center,
number
Joe
52,
Belding.
Offense. That's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
We're going to get a look at it. Belding the center, and I hate to do this to circle him, but right there, Belding the center. Alan Branch, number 80. Right there, the nose guard, yeah. And boy, that hurts, obviously, on a third down conversion opportunity for Northwestern.
Now it's third down. They need to take it to the 37-yard line of Michigan. Michigan leads by 10. We're about to go under 6 minutes to play, third quarter. Bazinet, heavy pressure, has to jump over his own man, and now he's going to take off 45 and gets to the 43-yard line. And every one of the coaches over there trying to hold him up so that he didn't fall into the bench.
And if you remember yesterday, he got on me because I didn't recruit him when I was at Notre Dame. He came out of St. Viator High School. I didn't think he could run because he was a drop-back quarterback in high school. He shows some athletic ability. Ron, this guy, as a sophomore, talking about Brett Bazinet, was the backup quarterback to Payton. Jarrett Payton was a quarterback at St. Viator High School. Later on went on to Miami as a running back.
Peterson into punt. And he's going to angle this one for the far side of the field. This is what they worked on so long on Thursday. And it was caught in the field of play, but he couldn't hold it up. Takes it across into the end zone, and it is a touchback. So we'll take a timeout. 10-point lead, Michigan.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Saturn and Gillette. Introducing Tag Body Spray for guys. Consider yourself warned.
The Lighthouse here on campus. Of course, we are on the banks of Lake Michigan in Evanston, just north of downtown Chicago. An absolutely model evening for football and for homecoming. Mild temperatures, supposed to drop into maybe the mid to low 40s, but it doesn't feel like it right now. The situation, the heat is coming from the Michigan side of the field. They're up by 10 with 5:40 to play. And straight ahead with Jerome Jackson on the running play for short yardage.
Ron, this Northwestern defense, much aligned. I mean, come in here 117th in the country. Gave up 750 yards to ASU early in the season. But I think they are an improving defense. Forced 4 turnovers last week against Michigan State. 4 turnovers tonight against Michigan. I think Greg Colby, the defensive coordinator, has done an excellent job with the overall talent he has on his defense.
Jackson tries to bounce it outside on the right. He'll go for about 3, and that's going to make it a 3rd down and 3 for the Wolverines. McGarrigle is there to make the tackle. Has a very big interception in this ball game.
Great feet right there. Does not turn his body. He's able to redirect. You can see why he's led Northwestern in tackles the last 4 years.
Couldn't help but notice he had a split lip, lower lip yesterday, and cuts and scratches all over his face. The look of a linebacker. 3rd down. They've got to take it to the 30-yard line if they're going to hold on to the football. And they'll go with a short drop, and the pass is misthrown. He meant the intended receiver, but it was thrown way too far in front of him, and it's punting time. Holly, let's check down with you again.
Well, Bob, you mentioned giving up over 700 yards on defense to Arizona State earlier this year, but some of the coaches told me it was actually a blessing in disguise. Once that game happened, kind of all their goals statistically went out the window. So they said, you know, guys, forget about the goals, just go out and play and have fun, fly around. They said they're playing much better on defense without the weight of those expectations.
That's an excellent point. Randy Walker is a positive guy.
High spiral, not going to turn over. Fillmore calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 37. So we'll take a break. 4:25 remaining, 3rd quarter. 37 yards on the punt. Michigan by 10. (27-17) Michigan on top, and it's homecoming here in Evanston. And a lot of people wearing their Halloween costumes this evening. Bassinet and company back on offense. Wanted to set a screen, and he winds up throwing the ball. Sutton with a valiant effort to try to catch it, and they should have just been knocking it down on the ground, which is what he did. That was going to go for a 5 or 6 yard loss. Pat Massey was all over that play.
Not much success on screen passes tonight as we look at Pat Massey, who is the captain, Ron, of this Michigan football team. Recruited him out of high school. He was about 225 pounds. A boy. Now he's 283 pounds and a man.
That's just Sutton, the running back. And here comes another flag down on a first down play. And from where it was thrown, I think they're going to get Belding, the center, again with a holding call.
Number 52, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. Second down.
Ron, this is just a freshman. One of the toughest things in football for a center is to single block a nose guard to the play side. And that time, Gabe Watson at 330 pounds, just too much penetration. He might want to cut him or low block and chop him, because for a young guy like Belding at about 265 pounds, has no chance up that high against Gabe Watson.
Well, we were talking during the timeout on the last holding call against him. The right guard didn't have anybody occupying him, and he didn't go over and help him out. Well, they'll keep it on the ground and go for about 5 yards out to the 31.
And as good as Northwestern's offense is, as explosive it is, you can't have those penalties. You think back to the last drive, kept them from going into the red zone, having scoring opportunities. This drive gets them so far behind on down and distance.
Well, you see the penalties: 5 for 50 yards against the Wildcats, 2 for 10 against Michigan.
Michigan with a lot of pass rush, Ron, so far in the second half out of that front four.
It's Roberson in motion, so they're empty for all intent and purposes. Right down the middle, the ball is in and out of the hands of Fields. Jonathan got turned completely around, and I believe should have caught the football.
When you talk about a linebacker deep drop, I believe right here, if we stop this, this is Dave Harris, the linebacker. And everybody talks about Tampa cover 2 with 2 deep safeties and run the linebacker down the middle of the field. Watch the depth Dave Harris gets on that pass drop. That's what you call Tampa cover 2, Ron, with that middle linebacker really playing middle thirds of that football field. 7th
punt of the night, and again, it's a line drive. Breaston, 35, 40. And he's going to be stopped, but not after a very nice return. 18 yards on the return after 45 yards on the kick. Next Saturday, our crew will be up in Blacksburg. Miami, number 6 in the country, against number 3 Virginia Tech. 7:45 Eastern, and it is in ESPN HD.
1 and 2 defenses in the country going at it in Blacksburg. And with Texas trailing to Oklahoma State so far in Stillwater.
Pitch back goes to Grady. Turns the corner, has 5, has 10, still fighting, counted off at 14 yards. That is a heck of a second effort by that young man again. And McGarrigle finally came over to make the stop. I would almost make you a wager that even if Texas comes back and wins that game, we'll talk about it after the replay here.
You see the power right there of Kevin Grady on that toss sweep, but go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, the thought is, even if Texas comes back and wins that ball game, I'll wager you that Texas will fall to 3 on Monday in the BCS poll, and Virginia Tech goes to 2, and here we go. Antonio Bass, they get him the football from the center, as they talk about that they do from time to time, a quarterback in high school.
And I will say this on your point of Texas, Virginia Tech, playing those Thursday night games, the way Virginia Tech had the opportunity, really dismantled Boston College. The whole nation, Ron, is watching those Thursday night games. I think everybody came away impressed with that Virginia Tech football team, because the score of that game should have been much worse than it was Thursday night against Boston College.
Jerome Jackson now comes into the ball game at tailback. Under 3 minutes to play, third quarter. Quick pass out in the flat. Going to go for 4, maybe 5 yards, and let's check in with Reese Davis.
Ron, with just over 7 minutes to go in the game, Stanford had a 24-3 lead on UCLA. It's now 24-10 when Drew Olson finds Joe Cowan under 5 minutes to go, and here come the Bruins. Under a minute to go, Maurice Drew again, and for the 4th time this season, UCLA's erased a double-digit fourth-quarter deficit, probably headed for overtime there, and Texas still in a world of trouble in Stillwater.
3rd down. They need to take it to the 36-yard line and going to be hit and going to, be very close to the first down. Let's see where they're going to give him the spot. Cadella got out to make the tackle. From where the official is standing there, you can see it's going to be about 1.5 yards, almost 2 yards short.
And this is a big decision right here for Lloyd Carr on 4th and short. Pretty good cadence opportunity is the first thing you think of. Chad Henne drawing Northwestern offside right here. But the way the Michigan defense is played here in the second half, Ron, probably going to go for it.
They are. 4th down. Let's call it 1 yard. Straight ahead with Grady. Hit hard at the line of scrimmage, but from where that linesman is coming in, he's going to have the first down. Herschel Henderson along with Schultz on the tackle, but it's first down Michigan.
I'll tell you what, Kevin Grady needed all of that 228 pounds. Boom. I mean, he hits it up in there, and again, that low center of gravity helped him right there on 4th and 1.
See big old Leo Hennigy in there reaching down to help his running back off the turf. First down at the 35-yard line. Reston in motion back toward the line of scrimmage. And they go right up the middle. And that's a big opener for Jackson. He'll take it inside the 30-yard line and down to the 29 as Roach came over to make the tackle.
Ron, I want to take a look at this right here. I'm talking about teams in the country that have winning records with just horrendous defensive stats. A&M goes down today to Iowa State. Notre Dame doesn't play. UCLA struggling. Northwestern last. I may be old-fashioned, but if you don't play defense, eventually you're going to get upset somewhere along the line, and the argument can be made even USC. Eventually, someone's going to get them.
Jackson, left tackle, bounces off one, going to go inside the 25 and down to the 23. And right now, this is becoming a textbook Michigan drive with just running the football. So we're going to line up and muscle you.
No question. And part of the credit for this, a big part has to go to the Michigan defense, Ron, that's kept the Michigan offense on the field against an undersized Northwestern team.
3 seconds, down to 2, down to 1, and that is the end of the 3rd quarter. So let's take a timeout as we head to the final 15, 27-17 Michigan. So welcome back to Evanston, Illinois. The scoring by quarters, Michigan 14-13 and none in the 3rd. And for Northwestern, 7 and 10, none in the 3rd. And that's how we stand. 10-point ball game with the Wolverines threatening and a first down at the 23-yard line.
Credit to that Michigan defense run in that 3rd quarter.
And he's going to give it to Jackson, left tackle, and around the 20.
Obviously a huge size advantage in this game for Michigan.
Almost 50 pounds a man, offensive line to defensive line.
And because their defense played so well in the 3rd quarter, it allows this offensive line to be a major factor because you're ahead in the football game, you can run the ball, and you can wear them down a little bit.
But this kind of play calling, you really can. Henne with an audible, 3 wide receivers to the top of your screen. Fakes the pass, now looking to throw a fade route, just throws this one away.
Wanted to throw the little bubble screen and go, fake the bubble screen and throw the ball to Mario Manningham up the seam. But good job by a zone defense. Northwestern team didn't bite on it.
You see the rush offense, 163.5 yards a game, 9th in the Big Ten. Tonight, 201 yards, and they're doing it without Mike Hart. That is impressive. Just over 14 minutes to play in our ball game. It is 3rd down, and Michigan needs to take it to the 13-yard line. Quick out pass. Got that to Manningham, and he's going to be hit and knocked down for no gain on the play. And it will be a rushing play, not a forward pass. They threw it behind.
Ron, when you look at Mario Manningham, I want to make this point. We talk about high school football every week. 3 true freshmen in this game from the state of Ohio starting. Tyrell Sutton, Mario Manningham, Brandon Harrison. There's great high school football in the state of Ohio because 3 players in Big Ten games starting as freshmen from that state tonight.
Bob, it's going to be a 38-yard attempt. Rivas, Gutierrez the holder. And he got it. You have to say one thing for sure. Punting and place kicking and kicking off. Boy, the kicking game has been really sound for Michigan tonight. Let's take a break.
This Rose Bowl moment is brought to you by Citi. There was plenty of offense in the 1999 Rose Bowl between Wisconsin and UCLA, with Badger running back Ron Dane rushing for over 200 yards and scoring 4 touchdowns. But it was the Badger defense that sealed the game. Jamar Fletcher's 46-yard interception return for a touchdown provided the winning score and gave the Badgers a 38-31 victory over the Bruins. Log on to ESPN.com, search Citi to vote for the all-time Rose Bowl moment.
So we are back 30-17, our new score with 13:29 left in the ball game. And the young man teeing the football up right there. 4 times tonight he has kicked the ball into the end zone and made it non-returnable for the Wildcats. That is extremely valuable. Ross Ryan, senior out of Franklin, Michigan. And this one is going to go 5 yards deep in the end zone.
Northwestern, Ron, with only 2 possessions in that 3rd quarter offensively. On both of those possessions, huge holding calls, which got their offense behind rhythm and behind the chains. So a crucial series right here just to get back on track, avoid penalties, and execute if you're Northwestern.
So again, 5th time tonight, they have to start it off at the 20, fake the play action, pass it out in the flat to Fillmore, and he is going to be knocked down after a fine defensive play by Leon Hall. Leon already has a caused fumble, and then he picked that fumble up and took it the distance for the touchdown, and he has been in very good position most of the time tonight. Good ball game for him.
Excellent play by Leon Hall. He is their best corner, really replacing Marlon Jackson from last year.
Going to roll the pocket to the open side of the field this time. Bazinet, and now throws it and got it complete to Fillmore. I believe it was at Herbert.
They may have ruled that incomplete, but that was a great effort right there by Brett Bazinet, flipping that ball.
Flipped it off his chest, and it doesn't matter. I mean, so he wound up, oh, they said he stepped out of bounds, Bob. We're going to put him back with a loss at the, nope, that was from the previous line of scrimmage. Exactly. Yeah, he dropped it. So it's 3rd down, and they still need a 30-yard line. Kim Thompson, the man at the top of your screen. Bazinet going to throw back the screen. That's complete, and as soon as Fillmore catches it, he's going to be hit by Sean Crable. And the defense of Michigan is really beginning to stand tall in this football game.
And Sean Crable, excellent recognition right there. See this Michigan defense just gaining confidence, and again the underside on the field because the offense unable to move the football.
Here's the punt, end over end. Larscheid with the punt. 1 tackle broken, and then Preston's going to be 5 35-yard line, so they have him punt because the last 3 have been line drives. Reese Davis, let's check back in with you.
All right, Ron, a couple of the unbeatens have been in trouble. We've told you about it all night. First, Texas and Oklahoma State bench Young to Neil Tweedy for the touchdown, and the Longhorns have grabbed the lead late in the third quarter in Stillwater, 32-28. Stanford, UCLA in overtime. Stanford kicked a field goal. This is not a field goal game. It's a touchdown game. And Drew Olson to Brandon Brazil, and UCLA for the 4th time this year overcomes a double-digit fourth-quarter deficit.
Wow. Unbelievable. Running play this time by number 3, Kevin Grady, and stopped by Schultz on the run. Our score 30-17, just under 12 to play.
And how about Stanford? The unthinkable early in the season. Walt Harris, new head coach, loses to UC Davis and then takes UCLA into overtime.
Yeah, they are not only an improved, but an improving football team. There's no question about that. Pitch back goes to Grady, runs it back into the boundary, and he may have about 4 yards on the play. Ron Franklin along with Bob Davie and Holly Rowe coming to you from Evanston, Illinois. Northwestern trying to keep their string going. They have won 3 straight in the conference, but also when you look at the overall record under Coach Walker, they have never won 4 in a row. It's going to be 4th down. 3rd down, I beg your pardon. They changed it, had it to 4th, and now it shows 3rd. Michigan needs to take it to the Northwestern 47-yard line. Going to run it. 50, 45, slides down at the 43, and now here comes a late flag in. Demetrius Eaton on the tackle, and let's see what the marker is about.
Demetrius Eaton, Ron, the young man that returned the fumble 86 yards last week for a touchdown in East Lansing.
There is no foul on play.
Sorry about that, Demetrius. I didn't mean to insinuate they were going to call you for a personal foul right here, but we won't get a look at it. There's a reason they dropped the flag. You're going to see Chad Henne slide. I'm going to let you commentate. Good no call? I've seen it called, but probably.
Well, when I saw the forearm going to the back of the head, I thought maybe that's the reason the flag was thrown. But it's a no call, as Jackson will take it to the 41.5-yard line. Lloyd Carr looks up at that clock and he says, I'm leading by 13 points. Minutes and 50 seconds left in the ball game. And aesthetically, I don't care if it's real pretty or not. I'm just going to try to get this thing in the end zone and run another 5 minutes off that clock if I can.
And all of a sudden, his mindset turns all right.
2 touchdowns. Henne sets back in the pocket. Got it out in the flat. It's there again. That's Tyler Ecker. Boy, that play, Bob, how many times have they run it, and how many times has it been there for them?
And the reason, Ron, Northwestern playing so much deep zone coverage and also the pass protection. It takes a lot of time to clear those wide receivers to the wide side of the field and bring that tight end underneath. But you talk about wide open. Tight end Tyler Ecker spent 2 years on a Mormon mission early in his career at Michigan. Back in Ann Arbor, he's had a really good season.
Jackson, the tailback, and they'll work him right up the middle, high stepping down to the 25. What Michigan's doing right now, that's about 4.5 yards on the carry. And that coaching staff would just absolutely smile all night if they were to do that with every snap. Just keep doing it until they can stop it. You see Jerome Jackson, 68 yards, Bob, 17 tries.
And so much credit. We look at Terry Malone, the offensive coordinator, but so much credit to Michigan's defense, because once again, setting the scene, Northwestern is not a great defensive team, but they are a great offensive team. And Michigan pitching a shutout here in the second half.
Well, the other thing is that defense is getting the rest over there. There's 3 and outs. They're fresh as can be. Here's Jackson, turns the corner, 20 at the 15. It'll be 1st and 10 inside the 15-yard line. And Henderson saved a touchdown, but it's a gain of 12. And what Michigan's doing right now, Bob, is it's like body shots to that defense of Northwestern.
And you're right. You see him wearing them down. But Jerome Jackson only 10 carries all year before last week's Iowa game. Give Fred Jackson, the running back coach at Michigan, a lot of credit because he kept knocking on Lloyd Carr's door saying, look, Jerome Jackson deserves to play, and look at the time of possession.
Those are the body punches I'm talking about. Almost 31.5 minutes of possession. Jackson again puts a head down. He'll take it down to the 9-yard line. Herschel Henderson coming up from that free safety position to make the tackle. And you can see as they unstack, that's beginning to be a very weary defense on the part of the Wildcats.
And one advantage of the old traditional power football is you're able to do this when you have leads. On the other hand, the spread offenses, one thing against the spread, it's tough to do this. But Michigan, because they're a physical, I formation, run the ball team first, Ron, is able to do this.
Jerome Jackson goes to the sideline. Kevin Grady comes in, the freshman out of Grand Rapids. He'll get the pitch, and he slipped down. Going to lose about a yard on the play because he lost his footing trying to cut up behind the blocking of big Matt Lynch, the fifth-year senior out of Ortonville.
And Ron, I think you're going to see when he slips right here, he has a potential cutback lane right there where he may have scored. That thing opened up.
I said Lynch, but it was 77. Big Jake Long rather than 67, Matt Lynch. But Jake was out there opening the way. Third down. They need to take it to the 2.5-yard line.
And Massey in at fullback. Remember, he caught the ball in the flat earlier.
Pressure on Henne. Flag comes down. We may have, in fact, we're going to have. The umpire and the referee threw flags on that one, and that's a sure holding. Yep, there's the call.
You have to wonder, does Northwestern decline this penalty?
Number 67, offense. Penalties decline. Fourth down.
Tell you what, everybody got an opportunity to get out their rule books today in that Miami, North Carolina game with a seldom seen situation of an illegal kicking of the ball, but it came in the field of play. Kicked it out. They thought it was going to be the safety. North Carolina declined the penalty to get the safety, and rather than them have the ball at the half-yard line. This field goal attempt right here is going to be 28 yards. And he's good again. I mean, right down the middle. So, new score, 33-17 Wolverines. We'll be right back. The song is better now, and I have a feeling that that would be the theme that this Michigan defense might carry back to Ann Arbor with them tonight. Here is now kick number 6 that is not going to be returned by Northwestern. Really good job by the kicking unit of Michigan this evening. Ross Ryan.
A lot of things when you talk about coaching. You go back to last year. Lloyd Carr, they struggled defensively against spread offenses, Ohio State and Texas. In the spring, he puts the spread in on offense to help the defense prepare for it because they know it's coming. And this Michigan defense, Ron, has played excellent in the second half.
Well, they've held them to 40 yards, as you can see by that graphic. Got this pass complete to Herbert, and they have gone either 3 and out or 4 and out with most of their, well, take a look at this right here. 3-3-4-4-4 in the last 5 possessions.
Holding penalties a big part of that, but Northwestern explosive on offense. Still a lot of football left in this game.
Bassinet got that one complete to, I think they're going to say about the 38.5-yard line to Herbert.
And when you have a spread offense like this, conventional wisdom would say, look, forget about the running game. You need 2 scores, 6.5 minutes left. But because they spread the field so much, Ron, and you get maximum coverage, you can gash them in the running game a little bit. So don't be surprised if Northwestern runs this football a little bit to Tyrell Suggs.
Look at that, 27 yards passing in the second half. They had a drive of 80 yards and 47 seconds in the first half. Pass thrown behind the receiver, and we're going to have holding called again. Fillmore, the intended receiver.
Boy. Surprising with a rhythm passing team.
Number 74, offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. Second down.
Theory, Dylan Theory.
But a rhythm, quick timing passing team like Northwestern, not normally known to get holding penalties like this, but don't underestimate that talented Michigan defensive front.
And Big Gabe and company, Pat Massey. Branch has been really good tonight. This pass overthrown, tipped. Tyrell Sutton, the intended receiver. And now the body language for the Wildcats is not real good. Hasn't been in the last two series.
Exactly right. And Northwestern run with 6 penalties on the night. 5 of those penalties holding calls.
So it's third down. In the situation, they need to take it to the 47.5-yard line to keep this thing going. Bazinet, great protection, dumps it off, safety valve, and Sutton across the 40 to the 42, stopped by Leon Hall.
And right now, Randy Walker saying, look, I need to go for it right now because my defensive football team is hanging by a thread. And it looks like they are going to go for it. Bazinet excellent with the cadence, even though he's in the shotgun. I've seen him draw people off sides, but I think they have to go ahead and go for it.
4.5 yards is what they need for the first down. So a hard count right here, and a Michigan mistake, which did not occur, would have helped them. Bazinet, now they flush him out of the pocket. Gets the ball complete. Nope, incomplete. Couldn't hold on at the 48-yard line. Tyrell Sutton, it'll be Michigan football just inside the 45-yard line of the Wildcats.
And just what Randy Walker was concerned about. The young freshman Tyrell Sutton comes into this football game, has had great success. He always wanted to go to Michigan. Tough night for the young, true freshman running back. How would a true freshman who always wanted to go to Michigan respond? Tough night for Tyrell Sutton, Ron.
Yep, it really has been. Mark Beal continues to work at center, number 54, senior out of Cincinnati. Came in for Adam Krause, who had that twisted knee. And we're told actually Mark Beal is out of Washington Courthouse, Ohio.
And I said earlier, maybe Lloyd Carr's best job coaching. People in Ann Arbor may think I'm crazy for saying that, but he kept this football team from unraveling, and they are getting better. And to keep your football team, or to get your football team at such an emotional high every week, because basically they've played sudden death games since the Michigan State game.
Let me make a point to you. He's going to walk out of here in 5 minutes and 10 seconds. If he gets this win, what it appears he will, he would have beaten the 2 hottest teams in the league when they were really rolling. Penn State and now this Northwestern team.
Well, you have to put Michigan State in that mix. When they went to East Lansing several weeks ago, nobody gave Michigan a chance. They'd about said that Michigan had no chance for the remainder of the season. You look at Indiana, at Ohio State. But I think a great job coaching to just keep it from unraveling and getting your football team better with a lot of injuries and a lot of negative things going on in Ann Arbor.
Well, there'll be some conversations of down the road at the Horseshoe, wouldn't you imagine?
Impressive Ohio State today in the Metrodome, what they did to Minnesota.
Third down, they need to take this down to the 33-yard line. We're about to go under 4 minutes left in our ball game. Pass is thrown complete to Thompson, and now here comes a late flag from way down in center field.
You have to wonder, were there 12 men on that field? I believe we're going to get an offensive pass interference, maybe.
Pass interference. Offense. Number 15. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Preston flag for offensive pass interference.
Michigan has to go ahead and punt this football right now. In my opinion, ball at the 36-yard line.
Well, now they're going to call a timeout, but with the penalty decline, the fullback Thompson advanced it to the 36-yard line, so they don't have that far to go. We'll take a break. We'll talk about it when we come back. So we are back, and you get a good look at young Matt Grifford right there, working at the feet of his father, who's running that camera. Matt's 10 years of age, and
that's his dad's foot, that size 11 we see come into the screen.
Son here. Yeah. There we go. He didn't realize. He said, "What do you mean I'm on camera?" Oh my, those are not necessarily familiar words or terms to him.
Interesting decision right here. 4th and almost 4.
Stack receivers to the top of your screen, actually out of your screen now. They bring one in motion. They're going to run, no fake or reverse, and nothing doing. Grady is going to be hit and knocked down for a loss. Northwestern will have the football at the 36 as Kelvin Mims made the play.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Polaroid and in part by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, one taste and you get it.
So homecoming here tonight in Evanston, Illinois. They got 3:56 to make it a happy homecoming. That pass right over the middle got to be just short of the first down to Tyrell Sutton.
Yeah, I did.
And Ron, that was an interesting call by Lloyd Carr on 4th and a long 3. I know why he did it. He wanted to put that nail in Northwestern's coffin, but I really disagree with that call right there, giving Northwestern a ray of hope right here.
Well, that one thrown complete to Herbert, and they'll take it across midfield. Prescott Burgess on the stop.
Still a 2-touchdown, 2-point conversions away from a tie football game here. Northwestern still with a pulse.
Got a man open, and it's almost intercepted. Did he hold on? No. Morgan Trent, who was the 5th defensive back. He's the nickel back. And much of the night, Michigan in a 4-2-5.
Really an excellent job right there by Morgan Trent, playing corner out there, playing zone coverage. They had a guy in front of him, but he broke on the ball. And let's take a look at this again. Great effort. Ball hit the ground.
Yeah,
but
sure
a
did.
Great effort by Morgan Trent.
Michigan.
So Michigan calls a timeout with 3 minutes and 20 seconds showing on the clock. They lead at 33-17. Well, just months after suffering a stroke, Teddy Bruschi makes his return to the field as the Patriots take on Buffalo at 8:30 Eastern Sunday Night Football on ESPN. And coverage, of course, begins with NFL Primetime presented by Miller Lite Sunday at 7:30 Eastern.
And we talk about the job Lloyd Carr has done. He's saying no long passes right now. But Randy Walker on the other side, I think a great coaching job. Northwestern, a unique situation, Ron. A small, basically Ivy League style school, enrollment about 7,000. They have to do a tremendous job evaluating talent to fit this system. They're not going to go in there and just get the blue chip guys. They can't take them just based on the list where they're ranked. You see what they've done. They've taken probably undersized skill guys that a lot of teams in the Big Ten and maybe teams around the country back off, And they put them in this spread offense, and they're very effective. And another thing, they have to recruit all over the country because their pool of potential guys is diminished because of the high academic requirements here at Northwestern.
Well, a good example of that, Jonathan Fields, the wide receiver. I asked him, I said, how'd you get him out of Sweeney, Texas? He said, look at how tall he is. He's 5'8". He's a track guy. But the Big 12 schools didn't want him because he was smaller. As that pass to Sutton is going to go for just a short gain.
And another example right there, Tyrell Sutton.
Yeah.
It's Northwestern and some MAC conference schools because he's 5'8". But he's a heck of a player in this spread offense.
Got a man over the middle. Did he lead him too much? Did he catch it? No, they say incomplete. Jonathan Fields, the young man I was just talking about, 5'8", 175 out of Sweeney, Texas. But he was a track guy in high school and a very speedy young fellow.
And not Brett Bazinet's best performance tonight. I think Michigan disguising those coverages, multiple looks. You know, it hurt Michigan one time. They got caught disguising, gave up the big pass to Fillmore. But overall, it's kind of kept Bazinet off balance compared to what we've seen on other tapes we've watched.
4th down, and they need to take it to the 38-yard line to keep this thing going. And a timeout has been called by Northwestern. Reese Davis, let's check back at the studio with you.
All right, Ron, we started the day with 6 unbeaten. You know that Georgia went down. USC was never threatened by Wazoo. Lindell White scoring there. And in attendance, the stars. Snoop Dogg, the shizzle. SC remains perfect. Oh, look, he got the ball. He's got the Lindell jersey. Now he can strike the pose, too. SC rolls over Wazoo 55-13. And now Texas putting things back in order in Stillwater. 40-28. Ramon Young just scored a pardon me, Vince Young scored a touchdown earlier. 40-28. Texas has the lead.
You know, Snoop Dogg coaches a football team out there, a midget league football team. Oh, yeah, he has a bus for them to travel to the games. I mean, they travel first class. I mean, they're not traveling like you and I travel to the stadium for these games. I mean, it's big time. You play midget league football for Snoop Dogg. I wonder what kind of offense he runs.
The Snoop Dogg offense, huh? Hey, listen, you know, it's interesting. Going back to those scores, and we showed the BCS a while ago, that Texas 2 years in a row would fall so far behind that team from Stillwater and come back, and now they're in a position to win it. But you have to wonder, the BCS on Monday, how much it's going to hurt them. I think it'll drop them to 3rd.
I've heard you talk about this. You really believe Texas will be passed by Virginia Tech.
Because you got nobody to get a bounce on. Like today, A&M gets killed by Iowa State. They got nobody that they can beat that's going to give them a bounce, so to speak. It's a nice defensive play as the ball is knocked away. The crowd thought that maybe there should have been a little flag thrown, but not the case. So it's going to be Michigan football, and we got 2 minutes and 48 seconds left.
And Brandon Harrison, another true freshman, Ron, from the great state of Ohio. Kirk Herbstreit's out there high-fiving right now because all these Ohio players on this field.
Now the standings: Penn State, Wisconsin 5-1, Ohio State 4-1, Northwestern about to drop to 3-2, and Michigan will go to 4-2.
Figure that race out. Bunch of football. Jim Delaney, the commissioner of this conference, has to be happy. Every game is going to matter.
Well, straight ahead with that running play. They just want to run out the clock. This time it was Jerome Jackson. I'm glad that the Big Ten has become more receptive to playing Saturday night games for us, because it's very popular, heavily populated area, so the ratings are good, and the coaches finding out more and more what the coaches in the SEC and the ACC have known for a long time, and that is, it is great for recruiting. And you call up those kids and say, hey, watch our game. For the most part, we're unopposed on Saturday nights.
And what a great stage for Northwestern tonight. Didn't really take advantage of it, but a great setting here, sold out stadium with Michigan coming to town.
Sports Center coming up next. Scott Van Pelt and Neil Everett, who is still undefeated. Brewski's impact, and Manny wants out. That coming up next on Sports Center.
Teddy Bruschi, that is an amazing story. When you talk about having a stroke, I believe 8 months ago, and back on that field as a linebacker tomorrow night.
Well, I like him. I've watched him as a college player and also as a pro player. But I worry about the situation tomorrow night, quite frankly. And I wish him the best. You're right, to come back from something that serious in this period of time. But I'm sure he has conferred with the best as far as doctors, and they're the ones that they've given the green light, then everything is cool. So, Bob, as far as this ball game tonight, we talked about as we came on the air tonight, a high-flying Northwestern offense, and boy, at times they really showed it, particularly in the first half. But the bottom line in this one right here is Michigan, a lot of grit. That defense stepped up and said, we don't care if it is your backyard. You're not going to do that to us. We're still Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of credit, first of all, to Lloyd Carr for keeping this football team in position to have this much juice left this late in the season, the way this season started. And also Jim Herman, the defensive coordinator, beat up a little bit about playing spread offenses. Northwestern had 310 yards, I believe, in the first half, but nothing in the second half.
Henny rolls out and delivers this one. Good for the first down, and that's Massaquoi. Tim, a fifth-year senior out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And it's time now to take a look at our Polaroid image of the game. Back to the first quarter. Leon Hall forces the fumble, then picks up the fumble, and is going to take it the distance for the touchdown. That's a Polaroid image that he will long remember. Primetime television on ESPN. You remember when I did it, huh, guys? He'll be talking about that decades to come, won't he, Bob?
And that play, Northwestern seemed to look a little fragile confidence-wise, particularly Tyrell Sutton, the freshman who fumbled. That was a huge play. That's got my vote for the Polaroid
Well,
picture.
you know, and plus the fact when you see where the play was happening, Northwestern's about to go in and answer again with a touchdown. So it was huge. About to go under 1 minute left in our ball game.
And how about if Michigan gets Mike Hart healthy for the late season run? Didn't have to use him tonight. Injured that ankle, first series against Iowa. I mean, that helps now. They got a strong stable of running backs, including Jerome Jackson, healthy for this home stretch.
Yeah, they really do. Again, just going to keep it on the ground and pick up the first down. Jackson will take it across the line at the 25. McGarrigle coming over to make the tackle, down to 35 seconds showing on the clock. And the Michigan faithful, huge contingent here in Chicago, have come out to see their ball club tonight, and they're beginning to whoop it up. They know that this one is in the bag. You're going to have to run one more play. And they will go in that prevent, so to speak. They'll go to a knee, and this ball game is history. The Michigan Wolverines have kept it up. They have kept the pressure on the opposition. Lloyd Carr's ball club gets the conference win tonight, 2 seconds down to 1, and the final score, Michigan 33 and the Wildcats of Northwestern 17. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up next, Sports Center, and over on ESPN News, it's Postgame Extra. Now for Bob Davie and Holly Rowe and our entire crew, Ron Franklin saying good night from Evanston, Illinois.